the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So, Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Well, who saw that coming? A series win in this economy? Orioles. Don't look at the aggregate score of the 3 games.
All right, I won't.
It's irrelevant. They won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees after a 5-4 victory last night. And yeah, I mean, still doing all the work in like 1 inning. It's not exactly a robust offensive performance that makes you suddenly say everything's fixed here. But a win's a win. And a series win is a series win, particularly when it comes against the Yankees. So I don't know. Is it the moment that the Orioles turn the corner?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
it is.
Probably
what?
not, but...
I thought you said probably, and then you were supposed to stop.
No, probably not, but you'll take it nonetheless. Hi, good morning, Glenn Clark Radio. Thursday edition of the program. We got a lot to do on the show today. Coming up in a few minutes, our friend Rick Neuheisel will join us, CBS and SiriusXM. He was part of SiriusXM's coverage of the NFL draft. Of course, former Ravens offensive coordinator will get his thoughts on what it is the Ravens did during the draft. Then later on this hour, Larry Collmus, pride of Mount St. Joe, race caller for NBC. Saturday is the Kentucky Derby. I assume you'll be with me inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel, hanging out, watching the race, wearing your Derby best for the best dressed competition or the best hat competition. We'll also be giving away horse names. We'll be giving away some baseball tickets. We got a lot of fun coming starting at 5:30 inside Sports and Social. Plus, they're showing the fight afterwards.
Bo Nickel, that's right.
Not that well. I mean, I'm sure that'll be. They have a 100-foot media wall. I'm sure they'll put that up somewhere on it.
On the big screen.
No,
yes.
I don't think that's the priority. I think the priority is Canelo.
I do like
William
Canelo,
Skull.
but he's not Bo Nickel.
That's the priority for the weekend and the playoffs and the baseball and all of that. So come hang out with us on Saturday for the race, and then stick around for the fights inside Sports and Social. And then later on in the program, we'll make a trip to Aberdeen. Ethan Anderson, Orioles second-round pick, is going to join us, and we'll talk to him about a hot start. And we're going to find out a little bit more about the Preakness Festival, speaking of horse racing, so a lot to do on the program today. As far as man of the match is concerned, I will tell you it was difficult picking out a man of the match from last night. In fact, I was half inclined to go back-to-back Felix Bautistas just because 2 1-run, 3-up, 3-down saves against the Yankees. Now, last night didn't involve Aaron Judge.
Thank God.
Yeah, because he certainly was hitting the S out. What is he hitting now?
Like 500, I think.
I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
I think his OPS is like 1,300 or something.
I feel like this is the part of the year where, like, if
427, 1282
if
is
somebody's
his
hitting
OPS.
427, even though it's only May 1st, we say, maybe we should pay attention to this. Holy crap, man. But ultimately, given how the previous night's game had gone...
He's cheating, right? That's what.
Maybe. Given how the previous night's game had gone, and given how last night's game had started, with the Orioles immediately behind 2-0, and just sort of had that sinking feeling of like, oh, God. Cade Povich on the mound, down 2-0. This offense that seems to tend to go away whenever they're faced with adversity. I didn't like the math, but with one swing of all people, Ryan Mountcastle, who felt like he hadn't had a hit. This is where Drew would say something like, he hadn't had a hit. Evanescence had a hit more recently than he did.
Evanescence?
Really? Nothing?
No.
Bring
Oh,
me
okay.
to
It's a singer.
life. I've been living a lie.
I was still thinking it was a baseball
There's
player.
nothing inside. Oh, you thought Evan Essence.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't think I've heard. I was like, Drew's pretty old, so that would be somebody I probably wouldn't recognize.
Ryan Mountcastle, of all people, delivers the big swing that ties the game back up, ignites a big rally for the Baltimore Orioles. They take the – what the hell just happened?
What was that?
Something fell on top of me. I don't know what that was. Somebody who's not a Ryan Mountcastle fan, I guess. Ryan Mountcastle, man of the match for last night. It was not an overwhelming choice. It was just ultimately when I looked at what was most significant in turning the tide, I felt like that was the case. And so Ryan Mountcastle goes up on the board for the first time this season as the Orioles indeed take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. I'm not I can't overreact. I can't pretend that I think that the Orioles found something this week, anything along those lines. Cade Povich battled. I think he deserves some credit for that. I couldn't say he had a good start, but he battled. My buddy Steve Johnson always gets on me about that. He'd be like, "This is pitching. This is the way it works. You're not always going to be great."
That's what Steve sounds like.
Yeah. You just have to give him a chance to win, and he gave him a chance to win. He deserves credit for that. Like, and yes, to some extent, that is true. Like, if we can come up with a way of saying that where we're not saying someone was good, like if I can find an in between on those two things, that's exactly what it would be. And Cade Povich was, like he was, he wasn't awful. I mean, he only allowed 5 base runners in 4 2/3 innings, couple of home runs. You don't say like, hey, that's a quality start. It wasn't. But he battled. And when he left the game, they had a chance to win. And that's I don't know whatever you want to call that, call it that. Right? Like, just say whatever you want to, however you want to describe that without saying Cade Povich. Oh, man, what's going on?
Quality outing.
Oh, man. I'm glad I don't have to do 2 lacrosse games today. That would be really bad on top of.
Would it? Well, you don't. Okay, well, then I guess it's a good thing you don't.
It's the way it works out. I don't have to worry about that at all. My, oh, my. We got more tea?
I think we do. I think we sent. Yeah.
Hey,
grab it
yeah.
now or wait for a break?
Maybe
or,
during a break.
Okay.
Maybe during a break. That is not a good sign. When you have a busy day ahead, it is not ideal. Be choking on your own phlegm in the middle of trying to talk about Cade Povich. Not great. They gave Brian Baker credit for the win, right? Like, it's so weird how they, when a starter doesn't qualify for the win because he doesn't go the 5 innings. This is why all of you that get worked up. Our friend Paul Valley.
So it's a scorer's decision? That's how.
It's now the scorer's decision, yes.
Has it always been like that?
Yes,
or?
it's always been like that.
All right.
Our friend Paul Valley had me on the bat around a couple weeks ago, and I think it might have been a Cade Povich start where they pulled him without him getting to the 5-inning mark, and I was just like, Paul, you can't be worked up about a win. You can't be. Like, I can't believe that you still think that wins. And like he was trying to make the argument of, well, you know, there might still be like things in players' contracts or like if they have a certain number of wins.
That's true.
And I'm like, if there are, then the player needs to fire their agent immediately and say, find a real statistic that we use to get incentives. If you still have wins as an incentive in your contract, you have a disastrous agent.
It's probably after the game in Toronto, maybe, that they were, or not in Toronto, against Toronto here.
Might have
they
been.
won.
Was it a Sunday game?
They won the Saturday.
No, it was a Sunday.
So-
There was a maybe he was still talking about the
Okay.
Saturday. I don't know, but I just couldn't. I'm like, Paul, I love you, man.
Opening day in Baltimore, he only went 4 1/3, and they
Yeah,
won the
that-
game, obviously.
that
but
wasn't-
that wasn't it.
I don't think that was it.
Mm.
Maybe it wasn't Cade Povich. Maybe it was somebody else. I don't, man.
Had a lot of pitchers that haven't gone 5 innings.
5 innings. There's been a lot of that this season. But you just can't get me to get worked up about that. And to me, again, what happened last night is proof of why it is that, the win statistic doesn't matter whatsoever. Because it's just, hey, pick one of these relievers that you thought was most important and randomly choose them to be the recipient of a win.
Let's give Bautista the win and the save.
Sure, why not? Whatever, the Orioles won. That's the part that matters. And, you hope that Ryan Mountcastle, this is something that allows him to click and become a baseball player again. That would be really good. Give credit, Ramon Arias, who every time we end up getting down on Ramon Arias, we're reminded, like,
Baseball player.
He's been one of their best baseball players this season.
And dating back to the second half of last year.
Yeah, really. I mean, when nobody else was hitting, he was one of the few guys that was. Adley Rutschman had a couple of hits last night. That's good, including RBI single there in that 4-run rally. The Heston Kjerstad thing, I know a lot of brouhaha about that. I actually appreciate that everyone recognized how much of a nothing it was. If I'm Heston Kjerstad, yeah, I'm not going to love when someone comes down on my hand. And I don't even remember the name. Who was it? It was Reyes, right?
It was yes. It was the second baseman, and it was Reyes.
And if you're Reyes, you're like, dude, I can't let the ball go into center field. I got to go up to get it, and gravity is real. Like, I can't just stay in the air forever. It's just the way that it works. I'm not trying to do anything there. It is ultimately nothing. And if Heston Kjerstad had come to blows, had like thrown a punch at Reyes, he would have been completely out of line. But none of that happened. Heston Kjerstad was pissed off because someone came down on his hand, and that could really be bad, man. Like, that could really cause a problem. Reyes is like, dude, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just got to catch the ball, and then I got to go somewhere. And so you can handle all of that. It's just that in baseball, this is the stupid baseball thing. For a million years, we've had this stupid, everybody's got to run in from the ball. Wait, what is that?
It's not stupid.
By the way,
it's the best part of baseball.
No, it's not. It's so embarrassing and lame. You remember a few years ago when the NBA changed it so that anyone who came off the bench was immediately suspended for another game? And it was a real problem because it happened during that Suns-Spurs series. Dude, I was in Phoenix when this occurred. The Robert Horry thing. And it probably cost the Suns that series because they just wanted to defend their guys after a complete cheap shot from Robert Horry. But what ultimately the rule did was made it so we got all of this crap out of the game. Let the assistant coaches be the ones that run out and separate guys. Leave the players on the sideline so that it doesn't get worse. And baseball would absolutely benefit from saying enough. You run in from the bullpen, you're out. Enough of this nonsense. As if there's any reason. I don't remember who it was, but one of the Orioles beat writers pointed out like how hilarious it was that the Orioles and Yankees relievers both have to come through the same door. So they're all like, "Oh no, you go first." It's just
Naciano Perez.
It's pageantry.
Him and Jorge Mateo.
Performative bullshit. It sucks.
Well, it's the Yankees. They threw at the guy's head last year.
Thank you. Stop it. Baseball steps in and says, "We're not doing this." You run out of the bullpen, you're gone. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs anyone running out from the bullpen. It's just that your granddaddy did it, so now you think you have to do it too. All of that could have been handled in 10 seconds. And by the way, same thing for the dugout. Same thing, I guess somebody would point out what a numbers advantage the team on the field would have if it actually did come to a fight, so maybe.
Now, Jorge Mateo was so quick out of the dugout. He could have. He was ready.
Well, that's what I'm saying in the scenario where if anyone who gets involved at all, that's not involved with it to begin with, immediately gets suspended.
Okay.
Then you stop this.
So you
shit
lose
from
half
happening.
your team for a day.
Sorry, I don't mean to. I've been cussing more than I like to. It's just so stupid. Well, you guys are millionaires. Millionaires. Stop it. For God's sakes. Like, who are you kidding? This tough guy contest that you think you're having? For God. I mean, every time I see it, I just get so embarrassed. It's secondhand embarrassment. And this, of course, last night, thankfully, was nothing. Nothing. Heston Kjerstad's pissed because someone came down on his hand. Quickly, they can let him know, hey, bro, there's no malice here. There's no intent. He was up in the air and had to come down. Say sorry. That's it. I mean, we're all adults. Hey, man, I did not mean to. I feel terrible about that. Ryan Mountcastle threw a ball into somebody's sternum 2 weeks ago. Did the benches have to clear over that? Or did we recognize immediately, like, hey, there was no intent there? For some reason, Tomo Sagano decided he didn't want to catch the baseball, which is still the weirdest part about that play that nobody wants to talk about, is that Tomo Sagano just decides.
He didn't want to have his hand broken, if he was reaching and gets hit.
Wasn't.
I'm trying to remember the play now, and I think I'm misremembering.
Tomo Sagano just bailed. Just bailed. Like, could have tried to step in front to at least catch the ball, but once he realized he wasn't getting the out, he just gave up on it. Thankfully, I don't remember who the runner was. It hit him instead of missing him entirely, and then who knows where the ball would have ended up and what would have happened in that situation. But you don't need the bull S, the pissing match, the tough guy contest. Now, again, we keep asking for something to be the spark. Is it possible that a casual jog out from the bullpen to stand around and do nothing can prove to be the Orioles' spark?
Yes.
I hope.
100%.
I can't go back and make it so it didn't happen. I hope that it'll prove to be the spark. But, God, it's just so embarrassing. It's just... I just imagine trying to explain it. This is the eternal. An alien has never seen a game of baseball before. Explain that to them. Just explain it.
Well, they hit him in the head last year.
That part is true, yes. Now explain what happened last night.
And then he kind of, groined a head again, and then
What?
And then
What?
and then landed hard on him, and then pushed him again a little bit, and he didn't like that.
Right.
And so he had.
And so the other guys were out there dancing like sharks
and Jorge
jets
Mateo Perez also particularly did not like it. So that
Right.
so everyone said, well,
Let's
they
go
can't
out
be
here
the
and
only
dan-
ones.
Let's go out here and
It's not dance. They were getting ready.
Stand in
It almost
each
came
other's-
to blows.
stand in each other's general vicinity.
No, it almost came to blows.
Ha, 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 ha. What's up, bro? What's going on with you, bro, Seth? Hey, bro, dog.
No, that's not what happened.
So dumb.
They were. It was a face off.
What kind of face-off was it?
Baseball face off.
Were they having a? It looked like a bro down is what it looked like. It looked like a bunch of guys who were, yeah.
So how about Pat Spencer then and his
Pat Spencer got ejected last night. It's very Pat Spencer of him. Yeah, I didn't get to watch any of that game because the time I would have, the Orioles game, of course, was actually compelling, and I also had my own lacrosse game to do last night. And so by the time I'm not really aware of what the circumstances were. All I saw was that he got ejected.
There was 4 minutes left in the game. They were down by like 12 or 13.
Yeah, but they were down pretty consistently.
Yeah, they were down by
throughout
double
the
digits the whole way. I'm playing the clip now of.
But I don't know
him
what
getting headbutting Shangoon and and then Trace Jackson Davis came in and shoved him, and I guess they both got ejected. I don't know. I don't know what the whole. Do we play the audio to
there is a real like Shengun clearly goes over.
Yeah, he
to,
gets
like,
in his face.
Yeah, like start this. What?
Yeah, he can't.
What am I
headbutt him, but-
missing? Why did Pat Spencer get?
Well, he headbutted him.
ejected?
I guess he can't like throw a headbutt.
But like, Shengun clearly starts all of this for no reason whatsoever.
Did he not get ejected?
I don't know, dog. I'm not.
I know.
I wasn't watching the game. I couldn't possibly.
Well, the
tell
best
you.
clip was that they
watch
cut
the
Draymon.
Timberwolves.
They cut the Draymon and
reaction.
Yeah, and he was
he's just,
watching
like, sitting there
TG,
like a
TJD,
proud
and
dad,
he's
yeah.
like, "My guys."
Yeah,
That's what he said.
So yeah, I did watch the Lakers game and
Took a
mad at JJ Redick. I get it was weird in the last game where he didn't put a sub in. Like that was very weird.
You want to take Luka out of the game? You want to take LeBron out of the game?
I mean, I hear you, but he didn't put any of them. I remember like when the Lakers made the Luka trade, I was like, well, this is kind of crazy. I understand why they're doing it, but they're not. This doesn't make them a title contender. And then they started afterwards. You watch them for a couple weeks, and you're like, oh, maybe I got to take that back. Maybe they are a title contender. I just think we got. I think our reality was. I genuinely, about midway through the series, like, why did I think the Lakers were a better team than the Timberwolves? Like, the Timberwolves are a better team.
I guess just because the seed was higher. I mean, that's the
But
only
like,
reason.
you're hanging on to the fact that his name is LeBron James and that they got Luka Doncic. And again, considering the fact that the Mavericks beat the Timberwolves last year, you could make the argument that, like, hey, perhaps this team might. A Luka Doncic-led team might be better than the Timber. I don't know.
Well, Rudy Gobert had his best game of his life as well.
By far, the greatest thing we've ever seen. Actually, that was the best part of last night is Shaquille O'Neal at halftime. I'm going to be like, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Rudy Gobert is dominating. Wild, man. It was wild. So, yeah, the Timberwolves move on. They'll face either the Warriors or the Rockets, depending on who wins that series, as that one will have to go back to San Francisco for a Game 6, which I guess would be tomorrow night. Tonight, the Knicks try again to close out that series, and the Nuggets get a shot to close out the Clippers as well. All right. I had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his radio show, but an opportunity to catch up with one of our favorites right here on GCR. Pleasure is always to be joined now here on GCR, but one of our favorites. He was part of SiriusXM's coverage of the NFL Draft this weekend. And we know him as a former Ravens offensive coordinator, all-around good guy. He's Coach Rick Neuheisel, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. Great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Oh, it's a treat to be back with you, my friend. Another stellar Raven draft, and I know we're going to talk about it.
You know, I wanted to start actually with their second pick if I could, because I feel like you're someone who understands, as much as things have changed within the Ravens organization, their DNA has largely remained the same, right? A foundation laid by Ozzie Newsome and Art Modell that has continued over the years. Were you surprised that the Ravens were willing, when everybody else clearly was hands-off with Mike Green from Marshall, who we know is an incredible talent, were you surprised that they were the team that said, no, we're willing to take on that risk because of the talent?
It is surprising because the Ravens usually distance themselves from that kind of thing. Having been in Ozzie Newsome's war room all those years, I know what it meant to get a red, the scarlet letter, so to speak, right? And so, yeah, that was surprising. And I said on our broadcast on NFL radio on SiriusXM, I said, that means that they've done their homework. There's no way that Eric DaCosta would be involved in there if they've not done the homework that feels like this is going to prove to be beneficial for the Ravens.
And I have every reason to believe that's the case. I will acknowledge, right, that on Thursday night when Mike Green was sitting there at 27, I said, boy, I wouldn't be angry if it was Mike Green, right? Like, he's fallen a little bit. And then by the time it got to 59, there was a little bit of me that said, is there something we don't know about Mike Green? Like, why would this many teams continue to pass on him? And I think that's the part that concerned me a little bit. Is there any chance that, particularly given what the Chiefs have done, and they're like, zero intolerance policy over the last few years, Coach, that maybe the Ravens have found themselves willing to say, perhaps we need to change philosophy a little bit here to get over the Chiefs hump in the AFC?
I don't think so. Okay. I think they are very comfortable in their own skin, doing things the way they're doing them. I feel like the draft of a kicker late in the round suggests that there's still business as usual in terms of waiting to see what transpires in the Justin Tucker situation. This is a very proud organization. Steve Bisciotti's still the captain of the ship. Ozzie Newsome sitting right there front and center. The DNA is still the DNA. I just feel they felt comfortable or at least comfortable enough to make the Mike Green decision.
Now let me ask this part of it, right? Like, do you think there's a chance that Mike Green is so talented he could become the Ravens' first like franchise edge rusher since Terrell Suggs?
I mean, anything's possible. I've not done the study that they've done on Mike Green. I know he was at the Senior Bowl, and I watched him bull rush a couple of offensive linemen and look the part.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't there the next day. His agent said, "You've done enough. Get the heck out of there." But the bottom line is they know exactly what they're doing. They do exhaustive evaluations on all these guys. I thought the Malachi Starks pick was genius, and I think they were shocked that he was there. And who knows where they had Mike Green on their board, but when Starks was there, they had to take him.
He is Rick Neuheisel. He's with us here on GCR. I completely agree about Malachi Starks. The only surprising part is how many of us were kind of clued in that was the route they would have liked to have gone in the first round, because that's very un-Ravens-like. But as far as the pick is concerned, it seems about as Ravens as a pick as you can possibly get. Seems like it's very safe that he's an exceptional football player. Obviously is regarded extraordinarily highly as a human being. There is so much to like to me about Malachi Starks.
Oh, absolutely wonderful kid. Everybody at Georgia raves about him. A incredibly impressive freshman in a Kirby Smart secondary, which, like Nick Saban, who he tutored under, is a secondary guy. So you have to have a couple of things going for you if you're going to play as a freshman in the back end of a Kirby Smart defense. That's number one, great intelligence, and number two, great toughness. And his ability to go up and cover in the slot is exceptional. So the fact that he can do all that stuff says to me that the Ravens' eyes were bulging when he was still there.
Do you think it's best that he has a defined role on or do you feel like this is now like the entire game of chess that the Ravens want to play with both he and Kyle Hamilton? Like, you have no idea where these guys are going to be coming from on a particular play.
Yeah, I think that's right. It allows great flexibility. There's no detecting who the box safety is and who the center fielder is. You have to do your homework, and they'll do a great job of disguising, and it'll be interesting to have quarterbacks try to figure that out. It'll be a game of chess and then some.
Coach, I know there were a couple of numbers from last year that suggested that he dipped a little bit coverage-wise. I'm guessing, based on what you just said, that you are not at all concerned about Malachi Starks in coverage.
No, I really am not. I don't know that they're going to have him in those situations on an every down basis, but I know he's capable of doing all that stuff. And I got a chance to meet the young man after the draft, after the night was over, and what a quality guy. I told him how much he's going to love Baltimore, and he said he couldn't wait. And I think the two are going to take to each other. Baltimore will love Malachi, and Malachi will love Baltimore.
He is Rick Neuheisel. He's with us here on GCR. It's funny, Coach, because like what you allude to, do you, as you're doing draft coverage, start to find yourself saying, like, this is working out for the Ravens. I can't believe this is working out for the Ravens again. Do you have those feelings?
I thought it was going to be kind of like a Ben Grubbs pick, right? Remember when we took Ben out of Auburn, and just a solid SEC guy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very comfortable that it would be somebody probably from the SEC. I thought maybe one of the linebacker either from Georgia or from Alabama, and that just feels right down Ozzie Newsome lane, right? And then all of a sudden Malachi Starks was still there, and I'm sitting there going, they're taking this guy.
Yeah.
Because had they not, the Eagles would have, and it turned out well for those who love the Ravens.
Coach, are you surprised that they went defense with each of their top? They did ultimately take Emory Jones, the offensive lineman from LSU, in round 3. But are you
who's a Ben Grubbs type?
So, okay, let's go there for a second then before I come back to it. Do you think he's a guard at the NFL level?
I do.
Okay.
I think he's going to play guard. And, Emory is one of those guys that likes to be in every play. I mean, at the end of that Senior Bowl, he was going toe-to-toe with anybody who wanted a piece of him. And I think he's the perfect Raven.
So do you feel like he could play like day one? I mean, they appear to have a left guard spot. Maybe either one of the guard spots could be open. Daniel Falele played fairly well a year ago at right guard, but I don't know that they are married to him. And Andrew Voorhees, of course, the story from 2 years ago with him coming out at Stanford and would have been a higher pick. It felt like he was the default top of the depth chart at left guard, but it seems like either of those jobs could be available. Could Emory Jones be a day one starter in the third round?
Well, just remember he was a day one starter at LSU.
That's fair.
I mean, he and Will Campbell were both freshmen and both got put into the fire in the SEC and both survived it. I do think he's going to end up playing guard. Doesn't mean he couldn't play tackle, but I do think he'll end up playing guard, and I think he's going to be a quality guy for, if not the Ravens, somebody. But I think this is one of those picks that, again, they're just sitting there going, this is too good to be true.
Did you make, like, the first two picks both being defensive players, do you think that's just the player that was there and that this is what the Ravens do? They take that guy, or do you feel like that might have been their way of saying, yeah, have you seen our offense? We're good. Like we're okay over there.
Things are going our way offensively. Yeah, I had wondered if there might not be a play for a tight end, given where they are with their tight end
Mark
situation
Andrews,
and contract. I had wondered about that, but it seems as if they're pretty comfortable with the situation they find themselves in. And these are best available. Having been in that war room, Ozzie doesn't let the coaches in there very often. But when we got to go in, when you had to, you almost had to like be have that photographic memory of remembering where that board is. It's a best available world for them, especially when they're drafting in the 20s.
Coach, there was so much hand-wringing, obviously, over the weekend about the Shedeur Sanders thing. I know you shared some of the information that you had learned about how the process had gone.
Yeah.
I'm almost Shedeur Sanders out at this point, although the one that what is interesting to me, because it's within the division, I find myself saying, whatever happened in the process, if I were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I might be furious that you had multiple opportunities to get a quarterback in the mid-rounds, and you didn't. Whatever the story is, it's not that big of a price to pay for it. You don't have a franchise quarterback on your roster. Why not take that swing? And for the Browns in the 5th round, even having already taken Dylan Gabriel, who I know you like, you don't have one either. Like, take as many swings as you can to find that guy.
So there's a couple of things in play here. Number one, I think the Steelers have a pretty good feeling about Aaron Rodgers to have passed on quarterbacks for as long as they did.
But I'll ask the question, is he still a franchise quarterback, Coach?
Well, given the Steelers' situation, I thought that was great that they went and got the running back from Iowa.
Right.
Given the Steelers' situation, and they have two alpha receivers, tall, good-looking receivers in Pickens and DK Metcalf, who comes over from Seattle. I think you can run the ball, you can play with your tight end, and Rodgers fits that. And Rodgers, do what he did at Green Bay and, be the quarterback that can gloss over a defense that's troubled? Probably not anymore. But when you have a defense and all you need to do is score 21 points a game to have a chance to win, to me, Rodgers still fits there, especially if they've got a running game. They went and kind of attacked the defensive line so that they could be better and stouter up front, especially given the conference that they play in and Derrick Henry coming downhill. But that to me was a tell that Mike Tomlin feels comfortable about Aaron Rodgers being a part of this team coming forward. I thought they were going to draft Riley Leonard. It ends up being Will Howard, and they're kind of the same guy, both Johnny try-hard guys, and both look like they have the stuff to at least be on a roster, and who knows where it goes from there.
What about from the Browns side of the equation? Like, to me, this absolutely feels like it's worth doing.
So the question there is that there's not enough footballs, right? There's not enough plays to get everybody practice time. So it means that Deshaun Watson's all but done there.
Right.
They can't have a plan for him going forward. I know he's nicked up, but they do owe him a lot of money. It means that they're going to let Joe Flacco just kind of watch and hopefully mentor, but kind of keep him as a insurance policy, and then play the 3-on-3 quarterbacks fighting for the job with Kenny Pickett, who they traded for with Philadelphia, and then the 2 draft choices, Gabriel and Sanders. And here's what I think might happen: if Shedeur will take this as it came and deal with, okay, what didn't they like about me, and try to fix that. And if he will follow the guy who's going to try to beat him out, Dylan Gabriel, and take from what Dylan Gabriel does and learn that kind of, attention to detail, efficiency, making the right decision. If he'll learn from Dylan Gabriel, as will be available to him, he's got a better skill set. But the question is, can he be as efficient and as calculated as Dylan Gabriel? And if he can, this could be the best thing ever happened to Shedeur, and consequently the best thing ever happened to the Browns.
Look, that is a little bit of a concerning part about all this for me, the rest of the division. Coach, before I let you go, if I could just run this by you, because we're still a ways away, but I know you spent a little bit more time covering the Big Ten this year over at CBS.
Right.
Maryland's got an interesting thing in front of them where, there's a lot of hype surrounding their freshman quarterback, Malik Washington, who's a really, really good young man. I've had the opportunity to get to know him here locally at Spalding. And I almost to the point where it feels like maybe you have to let him play, right? Like, you got to get this guy's feet wet. You got to see what you have, because there's so much about this program that feels like it's riding on his success. But then there's the other part of it, which is, can you throw an 18-year-old kid into the fires of the Big Ten? Is that just insane? Are you asking way too much? Can you start a true freshman if you're Maryland? Is that completely out of whack? And obviously the unspoken part about all of this is do you worry that if you don't start the kid that, he'll say, hey, I might be able to be somewhere else and I'll want to run off in the new era of football?
Well, all kids are not created equal. And so the answer lies in, it's a match between ability and the ability to process. If your ability is such that you need to be in the game, but you're not processing what the other team can do, or processing all that needs to be in the inventory of an offense, then you're going out there with an arm behind your back, and now you worry about the loss of confidence. You can go out there with a lesser skill set if you can process everything and understand how things work on both sides of the ball. And now the whole offense is at your disposal, and you can switch from what we call an uphill play, where the defense has you outnumbered, and get to a downhill play where you've got an angle or numbers advantage. And if it's just unusual for a freshman to be that far along and his acumen to be ready to do that. But if he is that far along, then it doesn't matter at all when you go in there. As long as you know what's happening out there, and it's not and you're a step ahead of it where it feels like it's moving in slow motion. When you're out there and all of a sudden your eyes go down to watch how your offensive guard's blocking that 3 technique,
Sure.
Now it's overwhelming, and now nothing good can happen regardless of your ability. You might make a couple guys miss, but you're not going to really understand. So Mike Loxley's got to figure out, where is this guy in his development? I want to protect his confidence, but if he's a processor and he can go out there and know exactly what's going on the other side, which takes time and energy, if he can do that, then he should play.
And look, in the spring game, we didn't see him go through the reads much, but that's also a spring game. I'm not really sure how much you're going to be showing.
So what happens a lot with young players is you go into what we call progression reads, meaning that you're not so worried about what happens with the defense. You're just going, okay, I'm looking at that receiver to that receiver to that receiver.
Right.
And then the fourth choice is your legs. You just take off. And you do that a lot from outside the pocket, where you can just kind of manipulate people by getting out on the edges with the great athletes. So we'll see what Mike has up his sleeve.
Coach, obviously you're back at it, 9 to noon, right?
Back at it again. We go 9 to noon on Full Ride, and I'm loving it, and hopefully people will tune in. Get the latest on what's happening in the college world on Channel 84, Sirius XM.
Coach, always appreciate you. Looking forward to talking again when we get to the fall and get to college football season. Really, thank you for taking the time as always, and looking forward to that next conversation already.
It's my treat. I love my friends in Baltimore. Go Ravens.
That is Rick Neuheisel with us. I disagree with him, obviously, about the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Like, there's just you want to do it for the sake of doing it, by all means. But the idea that would have any impact or bearing on decisions that you make at the quarterback position, it's great news for me. But if I were in Pittsburgh, I'd be furious. Like that, you're making decisions based around Aaron Rodgers. That's. I mean, are we that lost? Are we that far into the wilderness at this point? Like to say, hey, he could still be good enough that because, well, that smells like you're not good enough to win something of significance.
Do you know how many MVP awards he's won?
It's a great point. He has done that. You're right. You know what's crazy? Joe Montana was MVP a lot. You think they should sign him?
I mean, I feel like he could still spin the football.
It's my favorite thing when someone tries to bring up.
He looked good in that commercial.
I was in that debate a couple weeks ago with about I don't know how it came up, but it was the Tyler O'Neill thing where people were like, "Oh, you wanted Santander over O'Neill? Have you looked at his numbers?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Santander
had a home run last night, actually.
What's that? Did he?
Yeah.
Good for Anthony Santander. He never hits an 8.
Oh, and he's healthy.
Now that's something. But they said, well, it just proves that you're wrong. Like this team wouldn't have been any better with Santander. I said, not right now. But this has nothing to do. This month isn't the reason why I wanted Santander over Tyler O'Neill, because Tyler O'Neill, since one season, has been a glorified platoon player. That's what he is. He had one season in 2021 where he was really good. And then since then, he's been a platoon hitter. That's what you're getting. And then somebody tried to respond with the career OPS against
lefties with runners on and 2 outs.
No, career OPS against righties.
Okay.
For both guys, as an argument that Anthony Santander was only a little bit better for his career against righties. Then I said to that person, okay, now tell me in the last 3 years. Don't tell me about what Tyler O'Neill did 4 years ago, because that's my point is you're overvaluing who Tyler O'Neill was 4 years ago when you look at his career numbers. Tell me for the last 3 years what Tyler O'Neill's numbers have been against. And this person said, yeah, well, I just thought this painted a more complete picture. I said, now wait till you find out what Barry Bonds' career's numbers were. Maybe they should sign him next. It's this notion that what someone was in the past is a reflection of what they are today. Aaron Rodgers did used to be good at football. I swear, we all saw it. Now he's a guy. And if that's who you're making your decisions around, you're bat-ass insane. Insane as a franchise. I strongly disagree. I get it. We all want to defend the Steelers because we've thought of them as being an upper echelon organization throughout their history. But their handling of the quarterback position post-Ben Roethlisberger makes me wonder if you can still view them that way. I think they have a hell of a head coach, and that T.J. Watt's been, an otherworldly football player, and that has allowed their valleys to only go so low. But Aaron Rodgers, as an organization, you're saying we can't. You know what we can't do? We can't use a 4th-round pick on Shedeur Sanders. Because, my God, we've got Aaron Rodgers. Insane. Utter insanity. Let's preview the Kentucky Derby when we come back in. Baltimore's own Larry Collmus joins us next.
Aaron Rodgers.
Glenn Clark Radio. Aha. Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll take the break after Larry Collmus.
There we go.
You good?
Yeah.
Great.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com. PreaknessFestival.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland music celebration with DJ D-Nice, Club Quarantine 5 Live, BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas, special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. It's high school sports. It's the coming down the stretch in high school sports season. Into the playoffs in girls lacrosse, I know at the IAM level. You can find out all of the scores, the schedules, brackets for the postseason, everything you need to know for boys and girls lacrosse, baseball, and softball by going to countysports.zone. That's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. And speaking of local high schools, our next guest, of course, is an alum of Mount St. Joe. And on Saturday, he will be on the call for the Kentucky Derby for NBC. It's a pleasure, as always, to welcome back to the program Larry Collmus, who's with us this morning here on GCR. Larry, it's Glenn back in Baltimore. It's always good to catch up with you. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Absolutely. It's always fun to catch up with everyone back in the Charm City, and looking forward to being there in just a couple of weeks.
I know we always talk about how frustrated I am that you are a Red Sox fan. At least in a week like this when the Orioles are playing the Yankees, are you like you're solidly on the Orioles side, correct?
Of course,
right,
of course.
all right.
I mean, how do you root for the Yankees? That's the worst thing in the world.
Thank you. Well, I don't feel a whole lot better about the team you're rooting for, Larry, but that's the way that it works. Larry, obviously a lot of storylines. Let me start with the favorite, journalism. Deserving of being a decided favorite going into Saturday's race?
Yeah, I would say so. And if you talk to anybody here, everybody seems to be on the journalism bandwagon. It's like it's a one-horse race. I don't quite see it that way. I do think that he is very much the deserved favorite in this race based on what we've seen and his speed figures. And finally, last time out in the Santa Anita Derby, had to overcome some trouble. Even though it was a 5-horse field, he got trapped and managed to get extricated from that spot. And once he did, he showed us what he was made of. And he's special, no doubt about it. But there's 19 other ones in there, and you never know.
Is it as simple as what you just alluded to, obviously, to your point, this is a 20-horse field, right? And lots of crazy things can happen. Is it as simple as, look, if journalism runs a clean race, it's really difficult to beat him, or is it not? Is he not that far separated from, say, Sovereignty, Sandman, horses like that?
I don't think he's that far separated.
Okay.
So I mean, if he runs his best race, he's probably going to win. But at this point in their careers, especially being young 3-year-olds, they all have the right to improve. A lot of times you don't know what you've seen so far is the best you've seen of these horses. Sovereignty is certainly one of those that I think is going to improve off of what we've seen lately. I have been admittedly on the Burnham Square bandwagon since I saw him back in late December at Gulfstream. In fact, I was working for FanDuel TV, and we were covering that race. I said, "That's my Derby horse right there." And so far, he's made it. So I'm not going to back off from that. He's a really neat horse for trainer Ian Wilkes. And one thing we know for sure, he'll go the 1.25 miles. That won't be any issue for him. But the major question is he fast enough? You know, he's improving. He's not running journalism type numbers, but he's not far off. And I think it'll be interesting. Brian Hernandez is on him, who won the Derby last year, knows Churchill as good as anybody. So why not take a shot with him?
He is Larry Collmus. He's, of course, going to be on the call for the Derby Saturday on NBC. Larry, I know it doesn't really affect your race call whatsoever, but clearly a big storyline this week is the return of Bob Baffert to the Kentucky Derby. And it's not quite like in Baltimore where if Bob Baffert's here, we just assume he's winning. That's kind of the way that it works. But what has it been like this week? Is it, you know, good to have you back? Is there still awkwardness there? Like, what has the tenor been in Louisville this week?
I don't think I've seen any awkwardness.
Okay.
You know, he's been welcome back. I saw him walking down the street the other day. We're like, hey, there's Bob all by himself walking down the street downtown Louisville. He is, you know, it's an interesting thing. The big story, of course, is the fact that he's back, but I don't think a lot of his, you know, he's not getting a lot of respect for his two horses.
Right.
And I think a lot of the reason of that is just the shape of the race. They're both speed horses who drew the inside, and I think everybody's assuming the pace is going to be very fast, and it's going to be a detriment to both Citizen Bull and Rodriguez. But, you know, just having Bob back is cool, and press have been all over his barn, and he's been handling it well, and you know, all is well between him and Churchill Downs, and it's good to have him back because he's the most recognizable face in our sport.
That's a fact. Now, it's funny you brought up Rodriguez. Did I read correct? I know this is crazy because I know I've known Mike Smith for forever, and he's always been great with us. But he's 58 years old. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mike is either 58 or 59. I forget which one of the. I think he's 58. The thing is, he apparently years and years ago lied about his age when he was 15 because you have to be 16 to be a jockey. So he lied and said he was 16. And so all the records are like a year off now, and they won't change them. So
it's so funny you said. I just went to Wiki. Number. His Wiki says he's 59, but I had read somewhere this week that he was 58. That's hilarious.
I think he and I were born the same year, 1966, if I'm right.
That is so wild, and yet like it's still very much at the top of his game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you used to see the work that the man puts in at the gym. He's 59 going on 25. You know, he's a guy that really takes care of himself, and you know, he's a natural on a horse, obviously, having done it all this time. And man, having Mike Smith is a plus for sure. Don't worry about how old he is.
A couple of the other horses that some of the people in my life have been trying to get me to pay attention to this week. Can you tell me a little bit about Coal Battle, who I know that there's a very cool story about trainer Lonnie Briley being there for the first time, but what should we know about that horse?
Yeah, I mean, he's a horse that earlier in the year was a real big factor. He looked like he was going to be one of the big stars when he was winning at Oaklawn, but then everybody sort of caught up to him. I'm not in the Coal Battle camp, but man, that would be a great story. Lonnie Briley is. I heard this the other day, which was funny. Jill Baffert apparently said something to Bob. She was watching an interview, Bob's wife, and said, "Boy, it would be cool if that old man won the Derby." And Bob said, "Hey, by the way, he's the same age as me."
Oh, man.
So
yeah.
So, but Lonnie, Lonnie has never been involved in anything like this in his career, and he's handling it well. In fact, with the media, you get him to start talking, you can't get him to stop. So he's having a good time.
That's really cool. And then I know that I have no doubt that as part of your guys' broadcast on Saturday, there's going to be some attention paid to two sons of American Pharaoh who are running in this race. Are either Publisher or Luxor Cafe a threat in the Derby?
Maybe. I mean, Luxor Cafe is a big wild card. He's coming in from Japan, and he was really impressive in his last race there. He's an off-the-pace type horse who might get a good speed benefit. You know, if they go fast early, you could see him closing late. So I think he's interesting. Publisher would be quite the story, because not only is he a son of American Pharaoh, he has never won a race, period. He is a maiden. He is 0 for his career, but he's run well in big stakes races, so he's legit. He's trained by Steve Asmussen. He's ridden by Irad Ortiz, who's one of the top jockeys in the world. So he's got all that going for him. He's by American Pharaoh, but if he wins, he'd be the first maiden, which means a horse who's never won a race, to win the Kentucky Derby in 92 years. So that would be quite the story.
You mentioned the Burnham Square. Any of the longer shots, anybody in the 20 to 30 to 1 range that you're just keeping your eye on going into this race on Saturday?
Yeah, there's one that and I'm not alone. I've heard a few people talk about Final Gambit.
Okay.
Who is Brad Cox's horse. He was a 15 to 1 winner of the Jeff Ruby Stakes last time out at Turfway Park. He's never run on a dirt track. He's either run on turf or synthetic, but he is improving. He likes to come from the clouds. He's one of those horses that would benefit from a fast pace, and he's certainly in good hands. So I would watch out for him as a late closer. Maybe not win, but put him in your super practice.
And I know because we've had these conversations over the years, that part of the responsibility of calling a race is you sort of have to have a feel for what the race is likely to look like. Can you give me a sense for what you expect this race to look like? Who do you expect to see out front? How do you expect this to go?
Okay, I can tell you how I expected, and of course that's not what's going to happen.
Right, that's the way that it works. Yeah,
exactly.
Believe it or not, you can't.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable that you can't predict the future, Larry. I can't believe that's not part of the rule.
It would make my calls way easier, and I would be richer too. I would say both Baffert horses are going to show speed, Citizen Bull and Rodriguez. There's a horse right between them. They're coming out of 1 and 4. There's a horse between them in the 2-hole named Neo Equos, who's got nothing but speed. East Avenue is owned by the same people that own Sovereignty. I think that they might be using East Avenue's speed as an advantage to help Sovereignty.
Okay.
There's a horse that drew the 20-hole called Owen Almighty. I think those are the horses that you will see at the beginning of the race that will be prominent. And then Journalism not far behind them. I'd say he'd be in that second flight, 5-6 lengths back. And then horses like Sovereignty and Burnham Square and Sandman, and Final Gambit are all going to be rolling late. That's how I see it, but we will see what happens when they actually get out on the racetrack.
And then what about the weather? Because I think I've seen that now the expectation is there's probably going to be rain at least through the afternoon on Saturday. How does that impact this race? Is there anyone who's, I know I'm asking you for a mutter, and that's going to be a joke and a Seinfeld thing, but is there anyone that most impacts if there is the weather that now it looks like there might be on Saturday?
Yeah, it impacts me. It makes my job harder. It's
you got to be able to see the horses.
You got to be able to see the horses in the mud. I haven't really done much mud handicapping yet on this race, but I should, because you're right. The forecast is starting to come up a little bit shaky.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, all week kept hearing, it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it's going to rain. It hasn't even rained. So
okay.
I don't know, whether they're right or not, but it certainly looks like that Saturday we are going to get some rain. Churchill is a drying out quickly type track, so hopefully that'll be good if it rains early, and maybe it'll stop before the Derby and we'll be okay.
He is Larry Collmus. Larry, I know that we'll have plenty of time to talk about it as you get here, but are you getting at all nostalgic about the idea that this is the last Preakness at the old Pimlico? Have you started to think about that a little bit?
How do you not, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited to be there and take that lift they have to the roof because the elevator doesn't work anymore. And it hadn't worked in years, and Pimlico, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a dump. It's our dump. We love it, and I'm going to miss it the way it was, but I'm looking forward to a brand new Pimlico down the road, and it'll be weird as hell going to Laurel next year, which is I believe the game plan. But one last hurrah at Old Hilltop, and obviously it'll be a special moment. I'm going to see what I can steal on the way out for some nostalgia.
Larry Collmus. Looking forward to hearing you on Saturday, and then can't wait to see you back here in a couple of weeks for the Preakness. Thank you as always, my friend. Really appreciate you spending the time with us this morning.
Absolutely. Anytime. We'll talk to you.
Larry Collmus. He'll be calling the race Saturday for NBC. Everybody's trying to the people that I listen to that are trying to help me make some money. They're all trying to sell me on Coal Battle being the you want to win some money, throw some money on Coal Battle this week. So I'll probably do it just for the funsies of doing it. You want to have some rooting, especially since we'll be there inside Sports and Social on Saturday. I want to have some reason to be amped. But I can't pretend like I know anything at all about what I'm talking about. I can't pretend
You
like
do a
I
good
have
job
any
of making it sound like you know what you're talking about.
No, I mean, I can just ask you about the horses, but I don't know. Handicapping a race? No. You know who's really good at handicapping races is Quint Kesnick from ESPN.
Really?
Cross guy, former Johns Hopkins Blue Jay. He's a amateur handicapper. Like that's his deal, man. He loves doing it. But I am not at all a handicapper of races. Like, it is just I want to participate. That's all it is. There was a race going on. We're all watching it. I want to be involved. That's all I've got. Historically, for years, Mrs. Clark and I would go to the Derby every year. It was the best. And then, unfortunately, after I started working in lacrosse, I had to block off this weekend because you just never know when you're going to be hosting a championship game or something along those lines. So this Saturday, it's very cool that I get to just hang out inside the sports book at Sports and Social and just watch the race. I'm going to look forward to that a great deal. All right, when we come back in, I guess we'll do a brief version of Fighting Words.
Brief.
Yeah, we don't need to be upset. I mean,
Massive
there's a lot of
weekend.
boxing. It's a big boxing
Yes.
weekend. There's no doubt about
and
that.
Bo Nickel and
Yeah, you're excited about Bo Nickel. You're amped up about it.
anyone that has any clue.
You're amped up about it. Are they fighting inside Times Square? Why is there a ring?
They are.
What is? All right, you can tell me about that
Okay.
when we come back in. Fighting Words next, and then we're gonna make a trip to Aberdeen to chat with Ethan Anderson. That's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from driveeasymd.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at driveeasymd.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
There's an eternal problem that comes with drinking tea, right? Which
Very,
is
very hot.
It's way too hot to drink.
Yeah.
But if it's not hot, it ain't going to help you.
No.
It's It's the biggest catch-22 in the history of humanity. Like, you want to take a sip, but as soon as you take a sip, you're like, ah! And then you kind of don't take a sip for a second because it's so hot, but then by the time you get around to drinking it, you're like, oh, right, this is not. Now I'm just drinking tea. It has no soothing effects. It's not going to help me get through 2 lacrosse games later today. Nothing at all. So how do we as a society fix that? What do we do? Do we numb our lips before we drink tea?
More ice cubes, I guess. Like you gotta throw.
But does that take away from the?
Well, it's gonna cool it off quick. Oh, like the actual taste. I don't think it would take away from like the taste of the tea.
No, from the soothing effects.
Well, you got to drink it quicker, I think, because.
I know what we do about that.
But
we got it. This could be our business. This could be the way that everything turns for you.
Learn how to turn.
Well,
like we gotta find a way to like heat water, but like enough to like I don't know how tea works. It like cooks the the spicer. Like
why does tea? Why
does it work?
Yeah, why is it helpful for your vocal cords? I mean, like, do we know?
Is it a psychological thing?
Yeah, is it just a placebo? Is that all it is?
Yeah.
We're like,
you're just essentially putting a humidifier right underneath your nose.
I mean, there could be something to be said for that. I could use a humidifier. We don't have one of those, do we? You want to rub some Vicks Vapo Rub on my chest?
You can do it yourself, I think.
No, I can't believe you wouldn't take advantage of that opportunity. Think about all the young ladies who have asked over the years.
Right. Yes, exactly. And you fit.
And here you are.
That description.
Here you are. All right. You want to do fighting words?
Do I want to? Yeah.
It's Fighting Words with Griffin Bass.
Fighting Words is brought to you by the print issue of Pressbox, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Great cover story from Luke Jackson about the hard road back from Tommy John surgery. Felix Bautista looks pretty good. Hit 99, right, last night?
Yeah. Well, you went in the final, I forget who the final batter was, but yeah, it went 99, 90 splitter, 99 again.
It wasn't Goldschmidt, was it?
No, I think it was
whoever was after
Grisham or something.
Yeah.
Bellinger? No, I think it was Griffin.
Pretty good this week. Like the sounds of that. Yeah, go pick up that print issue of Pressbox today. All right. So are they fighting in Times Square?
Yes, they are.
Explain
they are
this
fighting.
to me. How does this work?
I mean, I don't know.
Because
There's
these are
not
all
a whole
like
lot
real
to
fighters,
explain.
right?
Yeah, this is like
the card
Teofimo
tomorrow
Lopez.
night is a major card.
It is,
but nobody, like, they're not doing it in an arena.
No. It's I mean, I haven't seen too many. Have you seen pictures yet of it?
I saw a video of the.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
It's on Twitter, I assume. Boxing ring in Times Square.
Ring.
And well, anyway, this is part of that, like, I think that Riyadh thing, kind of like that. Yeah, and because there's gonna be a lot more Riyadh events coming up. There's one the Canelo fight is in Riyadh on Saturday. But yeah, I mean they're going all out for it because it's going to be Ryan Garcia is headlining. He is going up against Rolando Romero. I mean, he's a massive favorite. Devin Haney is also on the card. He's a massive favorite. And then Teofimo Lopez is defending. He's like an actual championship. Like he's a current belt holder.
The matchups aren't necessarily great.
Correct.
These are legitimate stars that could actually, like.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, because if Haney and Garcia both win, they're both, I don't know, I think they're both like minus 1,500 favorites, give or take, last time I looked. But if they both win, then it sets up the rematch, or at least that's the rumor, and the expectation, I believe, is, I don't want to say it's almost in the books, but yeah, they're going to fight in Saudi Arabia later this year, and it would be the rematch of the last year's fight when Garcia infamously came in like 1.5 pounds or 2.5 pounds overweight and was like I don't care, I'm gonna pay $500,000 for every pound I'm overweight or whatever. And we all thought he wasn't taking it seriously, and he knocked down Haney 3 times in the fight. He won a decision. They eventually overturned it to a no contest because he tested positive for ostarine, which I don't really know what that does.
It's for your period.
Okay. Oh, is it really?
Wasn't that the story?
I saw that it was something
wasn't
like
that the story
it has something
for,
to do with like breast cancer. Almost.
Yeah.
And
it's always something like that.
And it's like,
I don't know, bud.
And I think he was trying to deny it for a while, but anyway, it got turned to a no contest. They're looking to run it back.
I have a lot of questions about. So the way they're advertising is you can just show up, like it's free. right? To go to if you want to just show up and stand in the middle of Times Square the way that you idiots would for New Year's Eve, and I say that as a man who once was an idiot who stood in Times Square for New Year's Eve and about an hour into it said, "Oh God, I don't want to be here." But they're letting you do that if that's something that you want to do. Now, I don't know. Having been to Times Square many a times, it's not a robust amount of space.
No, it is not.
So I don't know. Are they shutting down the streets, or is it more like, yeah, you could stand over on the sidewalk and kind of
cars are going to just keep going by?
I don't know how this is going to work. And if they're shutting down that's a lot of streets to shut down.
I guess they're not. I mean,
they do it for events. Like it's not unheard of for them to shut down streets, but it's just wild to me that this is a thing that's occurring.
Yeah, I guess they're just making it more or less. I don't know. I guess it doesn't look like I guess they're clearly not finished yet, but yeah, like there's just a bunch of scaffolding, and they have like a stage set up, and that's going to be the boxing ring.
Well, it's a major television production,
yeah.
So they need a lot of. Look, it seems like a cool thing to do to try to get attention for a sport, right? Like I know it will do. It also feels like maybe why don't we do this in Central Park? Like that would probably be more convenient to stuff a ton of people into an area and not shut down the city in the process. I don't know, man, but
can't shut down New York.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. It is New York. They are built different in that way, where they're like, this is the crazy part. Something like this happening in a lot of cities would completely shut down the city. The overwhelming majority of New York will have no idea this is going on. Like 90% of New York of their city will have no idea whatsoever.
All right, so I'm playing the video now. Just someone kind of like panning across, and they're just I mean, you can't really tell a whole lot from this exact video, but yeah, they're just like they're setting up the stage.
The idea is let's do it this way to get people. Now, idiots like you and I will spend time talking about it, and that gets attention to it. You know, I don't know if that's worth the trade-off of not selling tickets in an arena. I have no idea. I'm not a business. And it's also still a pay-per-view. This is the type of thing where, like, if this was just on, Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night, I'd be inclined to be like, oh, I wanted to look at that and see what that looks like, right?
Right.
You're not going to get me to buy a pay-per-view to see what boxing looks like in the middle of Times Square. You're just not. I've thrown money away on dumb things, don't get me wrong, and I'll throw money away on dumb things in the future, but
tomorrow night or Saturday night probably.
Yeah, 100%. I'll throw money at Cole Battle, who will end up in 17th, like that's the way it'll go. But you're not going to get me to spend money to see what this looks like because there's an internet. Like somebody will be posting pictures of it.
Right, you're gonna see all the highlights and the stuff that you need to see. If Mike Tyson shows up and shows his ass cheeks, you're gonna see that.
100%. Right. Well, you don't have to pay for that. That's just on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, you do have to pay for Netflix, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's great. We all do that.
Yeah. Anyway, he's Teofimo Lopez. That's the one with the closest odds. Third one from the top. I think it looks like Teofimo Lopez about 9 o'clock, Haney at 10 o'clock, and then they think Garcia around 11 o'clock. The walkouts tomorrow on DAZN if anybody would like to.
But it's
dive
DAZN
into
pay-per-view.
Yes, DAZN pay-per-view. Sorry, yes,
It's
pay-per-view
also
on DAZN.
like, how does DAZN exist?
I don't know. I guess they're only boxing. I assume.
I think they have some other like.
I know they used to have like other like
martial arts
shows. Other like just generic sports shows, but I don't know anymore. I don't like McAfee used to be on DAZN.
Oh really?
Yeah, like years ago. Like that's where he started. I don't want to say started, but yeah, he was on DAZN for whatever reason.
But the only fights you'd ever want to see are all pay-per-views. So like, is it just free now to have DAZN? Because it used to be it was a subscription service,
right?
DAZN,
Right.
But then you realized it was worthless because all of the fights were pay-per-views anyway. Why? All right,
DAZN is $30 a month.
Yeah.
Man.
And what do you get for that?
You get whatever you want.
All right. There's speaking of DAZN. Now Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday night. The middle event of this boxing weekend.
Just go to Sports and Social. And
go to Sports and Social. That one will be in Riyadh and Canelo. He will be fighting William Skull, and he is, I think, the biggest one, maybe the biggest. Actually, no, I think No Way is actually the biggest favorite of the weekend. But yeah, minus like 4,000, I think, maybe down to 3. I don't know, wherever you are.
This is just a fight that is existing for the sake of having Canelo. I was about to say Mello. Imagine Carmelo Anthony fighting, having Canelo fight on Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Yes.
That's the point. You always want to have a Canelo Alvarez fight on Cinco de Mayo weekend. They needed to pull off a fight. This is the fight they got.
And I think they want him to fight Terrence Crawford later this year, or that one's almost already booked, I believe. That'll be the second leg of this like Riyadh deal or whatever that Canelo has. So I think that'll be in Vegas.
Right.
Yes, back in September, give or take.
And the good news about this one is they're doing it at a normal American time, despite the fact that it is in Riyadh.
Yes. Jaime Mungia is like the co-headliner, so he's fighting right before Canelo. This is like his 47th career fight or pro fight or something. So he's and I think believe he's a heavy favorite as well.
Right.
In terms of Canelo, his last 6 fights have gone to decision, so I feel like. And it's plus 175 for him to win by decision here.
Okay.
So I kind of like that.
Okay, but
if you're looking for something to throw out at the sports book.
This is more of a tomato can than some of the others were?
Yeah. I mean, Skull obviously has been around for a while, but yeah, I mean, like this is, minus 4,000, depending where you are. Like,
imagine saying that about that guy could murder me without blinking. And I'm like, yeah, kind of a tomato can.
Right. I mean, but again, I don't see this going too much different than any of the other Canelo fights in the last 3 years where he's probably going to win every minute of the fight. And, I mean, if you feel like you want to bet KO, there's the 4-round prop betting where I take him in rounds 5 to 8, so like the middle rounds, plus 210, or the back end at rounds 9 through 12.
All right.
Plus 310. I do think this one goes at least 5 rounds for sure, if not more than likely decision, though, is how I feel about it. And then Sunday night, this is Naoya Inoue will be fighting in the United States for the first time since 2021, and he is the he's fought at a bunch of different weight classes, but around the 120, 130 range. And he's a lot of people believe he's the pound for pound number 1 in the world.
Yep.
And it'll be really cool that he's not going to be fighting at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. like and usually on like a Monday morning.
This isn't a pay-per-view. This is ESPN.
Yes, this is ESPN. Yeah, I believe it's going to be like on ESPN. I don't think even
after
need ESPN
the Sunday
Plus.
Night Baseball game.
So yeah, that I think they expect him to walk out around 11, give or take. Maybe it'll probably end up being closer to midnight.
A little bit late for a weeknight.
But it is it's a massive boxing weekend.
Correct.
So. I'm excited. I'm excited for that one just because I haven't really had a chance to watch it live.
I get it.
And not that I'm going to be there, but yeah. But yes. So massive boxing weekend. I don't know how they landed on this.
It's Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo boxing. It's always worked out that way. It's this is not abnormal. There have been bigger fights over the years. This used to be when you would get like the
Pacquiao and
dude. I was
Floyd.
there for the De La Hoya Mayweather in Vegas. Was Cinco de Mayo week, and it was the wildest thing ever. Like blew my mind. Being that atmosphere was just incredible. Quickly, the UFC.
I think we've chatted about UFC 314 since, but yeah, Volk Diego Lopez, Gene Silva kept the Fighting Nerds thing going. Last weekend was Kansas City. We had our first Fighting Nerds loss, at least in the UFC. Yeah, Carlos Prates. He had a late surge against Ian Gary, but Ian Gary was able to hang on. I mean, depending on who the ref is, he could have stepped in. Like, he was down probably 4 rounds to none.
Okay.
And Prates just came out of nowhere, which was very surprising because Carlos Prates is a guy who, like, openly talks about he smokes cigarettes. Like, he's addicted to cigarettes and, like, smokes a ton of cigarettes, like, throughout camp. But he's knocked out guys in like a minute. His first like 4 or 5 UFC fights, he have each lasted like a minute and a half. So it was, as the fight went on longer, it was like, yeah, he's got no chance. And then he just kind of came alive in the 5th round, and Gary was just kind of covering up and trying to hang on, and he was able to. So Ian Gary got the win, a big win for him, and he'll, he lost to Shavkat. I mean, he's right there with the in the title conversation at 170 in the welterweight division. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just very happy that we have, these live UFC events. They were in Kansas City last week. Ian Gary's Irish. Prates doesn't. I guess he does speak English. Actually, he does speak solid English for a Brazilian guy. But he's from Brazil, and people were going nuts for it. There was no local connection to Kansas City. There's not a whole lot of local connections to Des Moines, Iowa. Here, I mean, Bo Nickel's obviously a wrestler.
Iowa wrestlers.
Jeremy Stevens is from Iowa, and he hasn't been in the UFC for 3 or 4 years, and they brought him back. Like, he's been in like the PFL, I think, or maybe Bellator, and they brought him back.
This is them partnering up with WWE because WWE is also doing Des Moines.
Yes, and they were in Kansas City, and so the UFC was in Kansas City last week too.
This is their thing now.
Yeah,
this is their cut down costs. I think they're overestimating the crossover appeal, like how many people will go to both.
Right.
I think they overestimate that. And you could definitely sense that WrestleMania weekend where they were putting up Dana White on the screen, and there was a stadium full of people that
were like nothing, no pop.
No, not the opposite of no pop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Wow.
I think they're overestimating the crossover.
Well, that's what
between
I was
WWE
talking about this with my friend, like because he doesn't follow WWE at all, and the fan bases are very different.
WrestleMania is also a big European, like a lot of Europeans travel over there. I don't know that it would be the same for a fully American crowd.
Right.
I think there'd be more, like mild UFC fans would be like, oh, right, yeah, the UFC.
I didn't get to dive into Bo Nickel. Look what you made me.
What's the fight? Quick.
He's fighting Ranier de Ritter. This is like the closest his odds have been in the UFC. He's like minus 350, I think.
But he's not been all that impressive.
I wish we could talk about it more. He was. He did what he had to. He did what he had to do to beat Paul Craig.
All right. That's fighting words. Griffin wanted to do the entire segment about. He's actually angry. He's taking it out now on Ethan Anderson as he answers the phone. This is Griffin. I wanted to spend an hour and a half this morning discussing Bo Nickel, and we had to talk about the stupid boxing this weekend. How dare they schedule 3 fights? How dare they? This is Bo Nickel's weekend. Don't you know that? You can be all right.
Shouldn't overlap, I think, with the Canelo fight. So, like Bo Nickel will probably be around midnight. The Canelo fight will probably be closer to 1.
Is it really?
I think so.
I thought Ring Walk was supposed to be at like.
At least the FanDuel has like the time locking at 1 a.m. and FanDuel's actually usually pretty close with the flight times.
That's not all right. Fair enough. All right. Very good. Thank you. It's a big weekend for Fighting Words.
Yes,
now let's make a trip to Aberdeen to chat with a member of the Ironbirds. And our next guest, off to a very strong start to the season, hitting .292, OPSing .810. He is former Orioles second-round pick, Ethan Anderson, and he's with us here on GCR. Ethan, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking some time for us.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
It's great to chat with you, dude, and I imagine you're feeling pretty good right now, right?
Yeah, it's been a good month of the season. Just glad to be playing ball. Went through my first off season, first time kind of away for baseball for a long time. Coming from college where you go straight from fall ball to the season, and then you get
played a billion games,
ball, and it's just one big cycle.
Right. Like you're just playing baseball. Oh, this is like you got to be loving playing baseball. What did it mean last year, Ethan? I know it was a very short stint. But how much did it help with the adjustment to high A ball, to have at least played a few games? Like, how beneficial was that for you as you made that jump going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, it was only for a week. Got called up. I think there was four or five of us that got called up for the last week. And it was just kind of right before the off season started, got a little taste of high A. Got to see what Aberdeen was like, kind of understand what the competition's like, and kind of start planning for it in the off season, so it's not new to me or any of us once we get the season going in 25.
Look, man, it's clearly paying off. Is there anything in particular that you credit? Like I say this like this isn't just what you've done. Like this is kind of who you are. You produce offensively. You hit the ball. So when I ask like, hey, what's led to this great start? The answer might very simply be, yeah, it's just what I do.
I take pride as being a hitter. But there's great resources around me. I mean, when getting drafted by Baltimore, they're one of the best, if not the best, at developing position players. And, the people that are around us in developing prospects is amazing.
What is it like to be a catcher in the Orioles system when, like, it's nothing but catchers? Do you have to, like, not think about that at all and say, hey, that's all going to solve itself at some point? When you get that call, you're like, how's that going to work? Like, do you have that thought process whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, they've had a great success rate in developing catchers too. And, there's a ton in the org. You got Adley on the major league club, but, I don't think about that. Obviously, you're just trying to become the best prospect you can. And they tell us, you're playing for 30 teams. It might not be the Orioles that you come up with. You might get traded, but, I'm just trying to think about playing for the team that I'm on right now.
He is Ethan Anderson. He is with us here on GCR. Ethan, this is the first time that we've had an opportunity to catch up, so I just kind of want to know about your path even to baseball, right? And, like, your story, I know you're a Virginia kid. I know that's where you played, but I saw that you were born in Hawaii. Like, how did we get here with you as a baseball player?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing because on MLB page, it says birthplace, and it's Honolulu, Hawaii. My dad was in the Navy.
Okay.
So I
All
kind of
right.
grew up all over the place. I don't remember it at all. We were there for a year, so I have no memories of it. But I know in Delmarva on the scoreboard, it would put hometown Honolulu, Hawaii, and everyone's asking me about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's just not true.
You're like, it was a nice visit. Like, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's cool. I got a Hawaiian birth certificate, so
Okay.
you know that's a cool.
You got that going for you.
2 truths, 1 lie. But you know, I grew up mainly in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
I've lived in Boston, Tampa, Italy, Portugal. Moved around a few times when I was younger. But Virginia is kind of my hometown.
So how does that, like impact? Because I can think of my cousins who were a military family. Like, how does that impact baseball development? Right? Like, we think so much about, hey, it's good to be in one place for a long time around the same people. They get to know you. How did it impact you? And was baseball maybe like a steadying force for you as you were moving around a lot as a kid?
Right. I mean, I wrote a lot of papers on this in college and high school. But traveling around, I mean, there was a point where I went to 5 different schools in 5 years, and it's 5 new baseball teams. And so you're around a bunch of different coaches, and you really learn how to, pick what you think is going to make you successful, and hearing a lot of voices. I thought I got a great amount of development from that. I was in Florida when I was 11 and 12. That's kind of when I shot up, just went from, being 5'3" to, over 6 foot. And then moving back to Virginia.
You were over. You wait a second. You were over 6. Wait.
Great.
You got to stop for a second, Ethan. You were over 6 foot at 11 or 12.
Yeah. So I was
Wow.
trying to think about the timeline. I remember I was the shortest in my family going into 5th grade, and then I shot up to 5'11", 6 foot.
Jeez, man.
Around 7th grade, and then 8th grade around 6'2", and then I grew early.
I was going to say, did they try to tell you weren't allowed to play with the kids your age anymore? They try to say dude, you got to go. You can't. It's unfair.
Well, no one told me anything. I always played up. I was playing 16U.
Wow.
Against all the seniors, or maybe it was 18U. I always played up to the highest I could.
Jeez.
But in 7th and 8th grade, I still played for my middle school team, which I was committed in 8th grade, so that was a little weird, just being that one kid on the middle school team.
Ethan Anderson is with us. Was there a moment where it became real for you that you could do this beyond, you're a kid, you're having fun, you're playing baseball? Was there a moment that you look back on and say, this is when I knew I could do this maybe for a living?
I mean, it's always been a dream. And obviously as a baseball player, you always play on confidence. And so every single time I step on that field, I got to think that I'm the best player there. And sometimes now it's crazy that I'm as a dream, it was to play professional baseball, and I'm living that dream right now. I don't know if there's one true moment that I could put my finger on that I was like, oh crap, I can follow this dream. But just going out there every day, giving my best.
Getting to do this with Griff O'Farrell, right? Can you kind of describe what that relationship has been like, and how special it's been? The two of you ended up in the same place.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know each other going into college, both being from Virginia, but, we became close friends our freshman year. We weren't roommates, but we ended up rooming sophomore, junior year. And we were talking up until the draft, going to the combine together, hanging out. And up until draft day, we were talking. And I think Griff brought it up. He's like, yo, what if we go to the same team? And I'm like, there's 30
what are
teams.
the odds, right? Yeah.
And he gets drafted by Baltimore in the first, and I'm still waiting to hear my name. And then finally, I get my phone call, and I think he was either the second or third phone call after that, and then both of us freaking out that we're going to Baltimore.
It's so cool, man. What and what does that do for you? Look, I probably you, given your story, you've had to make quick friends in a lot of places, right? You might be more uniquely situated for,
yeah, it doesn't really matter if I know anybody in a new place. But what does that do for you, your comfort, as you make an adjustment like this, to have a close friend along with you for the ride?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I think one of the biggest things for me was wherever I wanted to go somewhere where I knew someone.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be someone from my college team. You know, you meet a bunch of guys, you know, playing in the ACC, playing during the summer, guys from other colleges. Just wanted to know someone that I was like, okay, I'm kind of like this person. But being with Griff is amazing. And it's not just Griff. Like, Vance, didn't know him before, but, you know, playing against him for 3 years.
That's a good point.
Kind of just hearing his name a lot.
Yeah,
Never really
right.
met him. But, you know, I feel like UVA and UNC are pretty similar programs.
No, that ACC thing, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that at all. Ethan, the part, like, how I guess let me just walk through goals right now as you progress in pro ball and this season in high A, and I'm sure one of it is to be at the next level before the season is over, but what are uniquely maybe some of the individual goals that you have for yourself as this year goes on?
I think just, you know, keeping my head down, just playing every game the best I can. You know, it's a long season, and I don't want to look forward too much, and just go in there day in, day out, just giving my best of, you know, developing as a catcher. You know, I've always taken pride in my hitting, and one of the biggest goals for myself is becoming an elite defender behind the plate.
I've noticed that you played a few games at first, a couple of games in right field. Is that more just about how difficult it is to catch every day? Like, it's just not plausible to do this every day. It's insane to think so. Or is some of that like them, you know, we reference, you know, that you never know what the future holds. Is some of it that, like, you like the idea of playing a couple of different positions in case that might be a path for you moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles have talked to me, and it's all about creating value for yourself. And, you know, you become a more valuable player if you can play other positions. Yeah, I played a little bit. I played a lot of first in college where I learned the position. I feel like I can play it pretty well, but I haven't played outfield since high school, since my freshman year of high school. So getting thrown out there is it's a little crazy for me. All of a sudden the guys are hitting the balls 105, 110 now.
It's a little bit different. That's a bit different than high school.
But it's all creating value, and, you know, you can't catch every day. And if you can, you're crazy.
Yeah, it'd be stupid.
But it's just, I mean, they've talked to many people, is you don't know what your path is. And, you know, the last thing you want to do is, hey, we need an outfielder. And it's like, all right, your first game is being thrown out in the outfield. So getting those reps down here is very important.
Did you have a moment the first time you were out in the outfield where, like, the ball gets hit to you? Did you have an oh crap moment at all when you were out there, or was it completely like once you got out there you're like, all right, I know what I'm doing?
Well, every time I'm out there, it's still like, okay, like this is balls are hit pretty hard. But I think my first game out there was last year in Delmarva, and it was like Vance and center, and I was like, hey, if the ball is coming close to us, like, get out of the way. Like, I'm gonna truck you. I said that in the dugout, but then once we got on the field, I'm like, dude, if you can catch it, please.
Step in front. Call me off. Call me off, for God's sakes, call me. And that's the job of a center fielder anyway, right? Like, isn't it? It's always the center fielder's ball.
Yeah. I think in Delmarva that, like, spun me around a couple times, but I'm like, hey, it might not be pretty, but I'll get the job done.
Have you seen the Dalton Varsho catch from the other night?
Oh, is that the guy that, like, fell down?
Fell down, yes, correct. You got it.
Yeah, you know, that might happen with me. Like, the ball might be straight up, and I might run 10 feet back and come sprinting in, but, you know, I'll find a way to get a glove on it.
And again, he screwed up, but it's the coolest highlight that, like, all of us are freaking out about how it's the greatest thing we've ever seen, and it was based off a mistake, right? Like, so you can turn that into a moment that no one will ever forget.
It's like you look at the advanced stats, and it's, like, super cool to watch, but it's like catch probability is probably 95%.
Right. That ball off the bat, you're supposed to catch it. In the end, he caught it, but it looked a lot cooler than that in the process. Hey, the Ironbirds are home this weekend. A lot of great events, including Happy Hour tonight, Witches and Wizards night tomorrow night. They're playing as Sinceros Increíbles de Aberdeen. I don't know if I got that right or not, but
right.
it sounded good on Saturday, and it's one of my favorites. The Incredible Cowbells is what that translates to. And also on Sunday, an early Mother's Day celebration. Kids run the bases. Great weekend to get out to Aberdeen and check out the Ironbirds. Ethan, what does life look like for you? What does a Monday in your life look like? When you're not playing baseball, what are you getting into these days?
Recently there's a golf course nearby that they're fans of the team, so I've spent one Monday there. This past Monday, I spent in bed trying to sleep as much as I could.
Who's the best golfer on the team? Who's the guy that thinks he's a great golfer that is definitely not?
Best golfer on the team has to be one of the pitchers. I think Hayden Neerman is pretty good, but I've never played with him. I'll say this: Van Fine, he can swing a golf club.
He can crush. I mean, like, we've seen how hard he can hit a ball. That kind of makes sense, right? Like,
yeah.
Dude, I remember Ryan O'Hearn was on with me, and I was like, so you can pump it out there like 300 yards? He's like, 300? What do you think, I have an off day? Like, you forget. Like, yeah, if you can hit the crap out of a baseball, you should be able to hit the crap out of a golf ball, right?
Well, I can hit the crap out of a golf ball. I just have no idea
where it's going. Yeah,
so,
I understand.
So it's like I gotta go 50% power, and even then, it's a 50-50 shot which direction it's going.
Maybe go find it in the woods somewhere after
that
point. Ethan, are you on Twitter or Instagram, anywhere that Orioles fans can be giving you a follow?
I'm not really active on Twitter, but my Instagram's _Ethan.Anderson_.
Give him a follow there. Ethan, great catching up with you, man. I really enjoyed this conversation, dude. Looking forward to seeing. May the numbers maybe we never have a reason to wonder what's going on with you. May it just continue to be like this for the entire time that you are part of this franchise, man. Thank you for doing this morning, and looking forward to doing it again down the road. All right.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Ethan Anderson, Orioles second-round pick from a year ago, and off to a really hot start in Aberdeen this season. Appreciate him taking the time for us. All right, when we come back in, we're going to learn a little bit more about the first ever Preakness Festival. We are, right upon it. We talked about the Derby being this weekend, and then, that's the way the calendar works. So we're going to find out a bit more about the first ever Preakness Festival, including the big concert at Pier 6 when we come back in. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland music celebration with DJ D-Nice. Club Quarantine 5 Live. BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas. Special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas Combo, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCRs to continue along on a Thursday edition of the program, and we are just like days away from the first ever Preakness Festival. And I'm really looking forward to the events and what it's going to do for our region and how this is going to continue to grow. But I think a lot of people still have questions like, what is the Preakness Festival? That sounds cool, but how do I get involved? I want to talk a little bit more about that this morning. Joining us now, leadership co-chair for Preakness Festival 150, Christian Johansson is with us here on GCR. Christian, it's Glenn. It's great to meet you, man. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
My pleasure.
Christian, when I ask the question, like, what is the Preakness Festival? Because I'm sure there are still people that are like, hey, that sounds cool, but what is it? To you, what is the Preakness Festival?
So the Preakness Festival is so much more than race day. What we're doing is we're taking a playbook from the Kentucky Derby. And what the Derby figured out a long time ago was that there's such tremendous opportunity when you can take such an iconic sporting event like the Derby or the Preakness and extend that experience, not just for one day, but for weeks, with local celebrations, connecting communities, promoting entrepreneurship, tourism, giving people a reason to come into Maryland early and to celebrate a festival that culminates in the Preakness. And so for us, that starts actually weeks in advance of race day. Mm-hmm. And there's a series of events that neighbors, employers, communities can take a part of and all experience the magic of the Preakness.
Christian, if I said why, right? Like, what is the why of the Preakness Festival? I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Why is this so important for everyone involved, the leadership team, to grow this event and to make it a part of the calendar now moving forward?
So I'd say there's a couple reasons for why. Let me start with a the economic development argument for it. If you take a look at the Preakness historically for us, it's done about $40 million of economic impact. Then you go to the Kentucky Derby. They did $400 million last year. Mm-hmm. That's a tremendous amount of economic opportunity for small businesses, for people looking for jobs in the tourism industry, for our overall economy. And so what the governor recognized here is that this is an economic engine that we're not fully harnessing. And so part of that why is that if we can make folks really want to travel to Maryland, be a part of this event, and come in days in advance of the race, that is tremendous economic impact. So that's one argument. I'd tell you another argument is that the Preakness is as American, or is not as American, as Maryland-based as Old Bay. It's a part of our DNA. It's a part of our cultural heritage. It's one of the oldest sporting events in the world, and for us, it's much, much more. And so it's not just about that economic development lens. It's also about really taking a piece of our cultural DNA and celebrating that in Park Heights and in Baltimore and frankly throughout the state.
I appreciate that aspect of it, and I think that the way that I would explore that, like what I love most about it is allowing it to touch more people, allowing them to have their own story of my experience with the Preakness or the Preakness Festival and why it. I think a couple years ago, Christian, there was a lot of conversation surrounding like the possibility of there were people in the state who were like, well, why do I care, right? And like, how does this impact me? Because they just didn't know the significance of the Preakness, and I think this goes a long way to answering the here's why you care, because there's going to be reason for everybody to care over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And the fact is that this touches so many different communities. If you're a family and you want to experience the Preakness starting early, you can come to the George Spider Anderson Festival. It's the Saturday before the Preakness, May 10th. And, you know, you want to bring your family, do some horseback riding. You want to see all the vendors, have a music festival. That's one way to experience the Preakness early in the historic community of Park Heights, which we're really doing in association with Park Heights Renaissance. You have other ways you can do it. We have a concert on the water at Pier 6. That's just going to be amazing. It's DJ Nice in Club Quarantine, and you've got some incredible artists that are going to be a part of that he's bringing to that mix. And it's going to light downtown on just with a total amount of excitement for what's going to happen that evening. It's just going to be extraordinary.
Including legends like Jadakiss and Too Short. They're going to be a part of that. And Deborah Cox. And I know the Towson Zone, Corday, is going to be a part of that as well, which is very cool. You can go to Preaknessfestival.com right now in order to get all the tickets. Christian, I say this like not to try to take away from what you're doing so far, but I assume this is year one, that we want this to be even bigger and more encompassing in the years to come, correct?
Absolutely. What we're doing now is building the foundation. And so this is something that is going to be hopefully there for my kids and my kids' grandkids, my grandkids one day. You might know that there's a massive investment that's happening in Pimlico.
Yep.
And, after the Preakness race is run, what they're going to do is they're going to tear it down and build it up from scratch and build a world-class racing facility, which is going to be absolutely amazing. That's going to open in 2027. And we're going to be prepared for when that opens to hit the ground running and to have an extraordinary Preakness Festival that has been built on all the lessons that we're learning now in 2025 for the 150th anniversary and in 2026. And obviously kickstart that with a new facility in 2027. So this is not meant for 1 year. This is something that is really meant to keep going and be a sustaining effort.
Christian, I know economic development is kind of like your world. Do you have like a goal for, you bring up the difference between the economic value of the Kentucky Derby. Do you have like a goal for, hey, when we get to 2027, when we do have the new facility, and when, like, do you have a goal for what the Preakness Festival can be and the entirety of this couple of weeks as far as economic value for the state of Maryland?
So we have a governor who's very competitive.
Yeah.
We have a first lady whose vision has been instrumental to seeing this come to reality, who's also very competitive. We certainly want to be knocking on the Derby's door, and it's not going to happen overnight because the Derby Fest was not built overnight. But the vision is to build something that's truly unique here, an experience that's going to rival what they have over time. And so, yes, we're going to be mentoring the economic impact. Part of what we're doing with this is we have an outside firm that will be looking at it every year. We're going to be analyzing it. And yeah, we want to beat them.
Is there buy-in, Christian? Is it important for you to... I'll bring this up because it's funny. I talked to the First Lady about it, and our stories are similar. I went to my first Kentucky Derby 16 or 17 years ago, and I said, wow, this is a different world. And there's buy-in from everyone in the community. It touches, and individual businesses that go out of their way, hey, while you're here, we'd like you to do this. Has that been part of the conversation of, obviously the goal is to have it benefit restaurants and benefit, hotels and more people coming from in. But do you have buy-in from local businesses to, hey, what is everyone doing to try to encourage more people to be here during the weeks of the Preakness Festival and the Preakness itself?
Absolutely. So, first off, we have made a concerted effort to make sure that small women, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses have a seat at the table when we started this whole planning process. So that's been instrumental to that. But the other piece here that's really important is that what we're doing is a series of signature events, but then we're doing co-branded events with local communities. And so you'll find that there's a number of those kinds of things taking place. If you go to the Baltimore Peninsula, that community, they wanted to screen the movie Secretariat.
I saw that. That's cool. That's cool.
It's going to be great, right? Downtown wanted to host a wine festival. You know, and obviously what's happening in the Park Heights community. You have the horse farm tours that are occurring across the state. The point of this is that as we build this up, we want to touch as many communities as possible. And that's the vision and that's the plan. And as we touch those communities, we touch entrepreneurship, we touch that little local coffee shop or that small business that happens to be in there. And it's very much a part of seeing this vision to reality. So yes, and yes, and yes.
Christian, and this is very genuine. I love this, and I'm the person that came back from the Kentucky Derby and said, "Why can't we have this? Why can't it be like this here?" Because to the point, as much as we want, you know, the biggest events, and we're all bummed out about missing out on the World Cup and stuff, like we have. This is our thing every year. That everybody around the globe gets to see our city, our community up close and personal. I absolutely love the embrace of this and can't wait to see it continue to grow. Obviously, we're pointing people towards PreaknessFestival.com, and we know that some of these events are ticketed and you need to get tickets now. Is there anything else we can do to help spread the word and tell people about what's going on at the Preakness Festival?
Well, first off, for all you families out there, and I'm going to speak directly to you, come out on Saturday, May 10th to the George Spider Anderson Festival. It's going to be an incredible way to experience horseback riding and music, and also to get a glimpse of Pimlico as well. You know, for all you families out there, again, come out to the Maryland horse tours that we're doing on all these horse farms. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to see and experience our equine industry and see some of those things up front. And for all of you who just want to celebrate and have a good time, come out to the concert on Wednesday night. It's going to be incredible. And I know you guys have been spreading the word on that. Keep spreading the word, because that is really one of our signature events. We're going to have thousands of people come in and watch some incredible acts. And so, you know, I just want to encourage everyone to be a part of these things. Most of these events are free, and you know, some are ticketed, but most of them are open to you complimentary. So take advantage of that.
And by including that George Spider Anderson Music Festival, where I know MC Light is going to be, and that's huge, right? It's huge to give everybody the opportunity, regardless of income, of economics. You can be a part of this. That this event is for you, and I genuinely mean that. Like, I think that's massive for growing this and making it something that people care about a great deal. I love that you guys are doing this, and I think my Mrs. Clark is going to bring the boy. My sons and I are going to come down for the movie night, in fact, because she just found out about that, and she's very excited about being a part of it. Christian, I love that this is happening. I can't wait to see it continue to grow. This is nothing but a win for everybody involved. And looking forward to more of these conversations. Thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for spreading the word.
Christian Johansson, leadership co-chair for Preakness Festival 150, and it's very genuine for me. Like, this is not had a guest on. This is my history with, you know, like a lot of people. When I was a kid, my parents would not allow me to go to Preakness because, you know, we know what the Preakness looked like back then. And so I wasn't until, because the first one that I went to, I had to lie to them, much like the HF Festival. I had to lie to my parents about where I was going. And then thankfully this was not the era of like cell phone cameras and stuff like that. So it might not have been until I was a senior in high school that I finally went to my first Preakness. And I, truth be told, the first time I went, you're in the infield, you're not really seeing. I like watching the horse race. Like, I was that dope. I was like, I kind of want to watch the horse race. But it became a regular part of my life. And when I met now my wife, I was 25. And she said, hey, I've got close family that lives in Louisville. And I was like, well, that's cool. You ever been to the Derby? And she said, no, I've never been. And if you don't know, my wife, like, rode horses. That's her thing, was riding horses. And so I said, what if we went? Like, what if we, maybe I could go down, like, do the show from Kentucky and, the whole thing. And so in 2009, which I remember quite well because the legendary Calvin Burrell told me to bet Mind That Bird when it was a 50-1 shot to win the Kentucky Derby. And my reaction made people believe that I was the owner of the horse. It was a rainy day. It was part of the reason. Calvin Burrell saw me on Thursday. We just had him on the show. I think like that. I flew down on Thursday. I had done the show that morning. And when I arrived, one of the first people I bumped into was Calvin Burrell, and I think he had just been on with us that morning. And this is back when the Orioles were terrible, so we would do a lot of Kentucky Derby. It was funny. It was when you heard that from Drew yesterday, like, I love the Kentucky Derby. It was genuine. We did a lot of Kentucky Derby coverage back then because talking about the Orioles was tough. But we just had Calvin Burrell, and I was like, hey, Calvin, Glenn Clark up in Baltimore. And I can, like, it was yesterday. Mr. Clark, it's so good to see you, Mr. Clark. He's one of the nicest guys in the world.
Giving out
Calvin
free
Burrell.
tips.
And he said, I know you guys don't believe me, but I'm telling you, my horse loves the mud. He loves the mud. You bet my horse on Saturday. Mr. Clark, I'm telling you. And I said, you know what? What am I doing? I'm down at the Derby for the first time. I just bumped into Calvin Burrell as I was getting off. Calvin Burrell and oddly Shane Battier were the people that I saw like getting off the plane.
He owned a horse or no?
He's just there. I mean, it was the Derby, man. Like, people just went. And so I said, what the hell? I'll throw some money at Calvin Burrell. And then the rain was awful on Saturday, and it cleared out. So we decided to take a chance on going and finding, like, really nice seats because a lot of people left during the day of the Kentucky Derby. And by the time we got to the race, it had cleared up a little bit. And sure enough, we were sitting, like, it might have been an owner's box. You know what I mean? Like, I was young at the time, so like I didn't know if I was ever going back to the Derby. What happened? Well, if I get kicked out, I get kicked out. Who cares? Whatever. Like it was nice of them to let me in and to let me do the show, and we were doing a lot of videos and stuff like that. And I was intoxicated by it all. It was just awesome. Like there's nothing like.
And you were intoxicated as well.
Yes, I was also intoxicated on top of it. There was a lot of bourbon consumed. A lot. And it was just great. And sure enough, Mind That Bird's unfathomably wins the Kentucky Derby, and everybody's losing their mind, and no one more so than your boy, because we were cashing in nicely on Mind That Bird at 50-1. And so my wife and I are screaming, and we've also had quite a few drinks in this. And I think I had hid my media credentials so that nobody saw that I was because we were definitely in an area that we weren't supposed to be in. Like, this was a nice part of the track. And we're losing our mind, and the people, and I'm wearing a seersucker, right? Like I'm in the whole 9 yards, and everybody around us is convinced that we own the horse. They're like, "Oh my God, congratulations!" And I'm like, "Yeah, I hit a 50-1 shot." They're like, "No, because your horse." Wait, what? But I was drunk on it. I loved it, and so we went back every year to go to the Kentucky Derby. And I would say that every year I came back, I would have a conversation. A friend Mike Gathigan, when he was with the Maryland Jockey Club, I'd say, "Dude, what? Why can't we?" I go down there, and for a week, it's life, it's energy, it's. Jerry Eisenberg, the legendary writer in New York, would say, and I used to quote it all the time, it was like, in Kentucky, it's a fairy tale. In Baltimore, it's a horse race. Like, we're just different people, right? Like, we can't pretend something is something that it isn't, right? Like, it's the old, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Like, we don't have that in our DNA. And to some extent, that's true, right? Like, it is a horse race. It's not...
the Orioles winning the World Series or something like that. But it's a major event. And creating a way that it touches more of the community and people that don't care about horse racing and just feeling it and feeling the impact of it and what it means for your business and stretching it beyond just Park Heights, beyond just the city, is really smart. And trying to give everybody in this area a taste of the Preakness is something I am fully behind. That is, to me, a no-brainer. That is long overdue. And I think there's a lot of good in this first year, and I can't wait to see how it continues to grow. I didn't whether that concert, I keep seeing the list of artists.
I know,
it's
like
there,
growing.
And it just, I saw Raheem DeVaughn. I'm like, God, man, I didn't even notice Corday.
I know, I did not know Corday until you just said it.
That's really cool. Really, really cool. All right. Anything we didn't get to today?
I think I have it.
What?
It's going to work.
Don't urinate on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Is he still with us?
It's a great question. I don't know.
I haven't seen commercials, and it makes me.
Oh, Barry G.
Glazer. Barry Glazer. Is he still? I guess he's still with us.
The Laws of Barry Glazer. Thank goodness.
Man, what are you going to do without Barry Glazer in your life? Oh, love that. The Capitals did win.
That's right. We did it.
You guys are very happy about that.
We got it done. Yeah.
Drew didn't think it was going to work out that way.
Drew thought they were going to make it tough. No, they got it done. Ovi got the scoring started, and it was all downhill from there.
So, do you want to address the controversy from shaved ice yesterday?
I guess we.
Do you want to say that till next week? Maybe we save it.
I think we
save it till next week.
Yeah, we can save it for next week.
I had a couple people reach out yesterday. Drew was going on about his concern about the Hurricanes and Darcy Kemper returning. And Darcy Kemper neither plays for the Hurricanes, nor has he ever played for the Hurricanes. He's an L.A. King.
Yeah.
Now,
the opposite coast.
For what it's worth, I was never going to be the guy to correct him.
It
was never going to happen. In a million years, I couldn't tell you who Darcy Kemper plays for. I only vaguely remember that he's a goalie. Only vaguely does that check out with me. That Darcy Kemper is a hockey player, frankly. But Drew, of course, it's one thing when we have fun with him about hanging on the rim. I genuinely don't know that he could name 2 current Cleveland Cavaliers. He does present himself as a hockey guy because he's been an obsessed Capitals fan his entire life. So we'll have to deal with that next week's Shaved Ice, the fact that Drew was very confident, can't play the Hurricanes. Is that who they're going to play, by the way?
Yes, it will be. Yes. They're not playing.
So presumably he'll know by next Wednesday that Darcy Kemper's not involved.
But will he remember that he mentioned even?
Don't know. Yeah. Don't know about that part. But he'll at least be aware that
well, because he definitely didn't know. Because I don't know why. I remember when the Ravens lost to the Bills and he called the Mark Andrews fumble, and I don't know how I remembered that, but I think you both had forgotten that happened. And I for some reason remembered that he said Mark Andrews was gonna fumble, and I was like,
how about that?
I gotta go make sure I pull this.
Fumble or
that's what he said. Whatever.
I thought it was,
when we pulled the clip back.
I thought it was off his hands and it went for an interception. I thought it was very close.
It was almost. He almost nailed it. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
All right, very good. You want to go ahead and get a tidbit?
Yeah, I guess so.
Tidbit brought to you today. I have 2 lacrosse. I'm not sure if you heard. I have 2 lacrosse games to do, so I do need to get out of here. Tidbit is brought to you today by the Stay on the Fan Variety Hour. Stan, Ross, and Luke every Monday talking baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stay on the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson talking baseball every Monday. What you got?
Old Tomoyuki Sagano, as I
sitting on.
Yes, I've been sitting on it since his amazing start on it feels like a week ago now, Monday. He went 5 innings. He did not allow any runs, and he struck out 8 batters. That was his obviously his first start doing that with the Orioles. Can you name the Orioles players that have done this the most times? 5, at least. Actually, innings not matter. They didn't allow runs. 8 strikeouts. So most appearances of 8 strikeouts.
I'm going to say Jim Palmer.
Yes, Jim Palmer, second.
He threw 1,000 complete games. And I'll say Mike Messina.
Mike Messina will be number 1. 13 such games.
How many guys am I trying to get total?
All right, so guys that have done this 5. There's 9 guys that have done this 5 times in an Orioles uniform.
5's not that many, so that could be somebody that was only here for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's just throw some guys at the wall because after those two, you're just guessing. McNally.
Yes, McNally. 5 times.
Cuellar.
No Cuellar. Cuellar did it thrice.
Dobson.
No Dobson.
Stone.
No Stone.
Barber.
No Steve Stone. Yes, Barber. Steve Barber 5 times.
Dennis Martinez.
No Dennis.
How about Scott Erickson?
No Scott Erickson. Erickson did it 3 times.
Getting into modern years is really dicey. Chris Tillman.
No Tilly.
Somehow it was Corbin Burns in 1 year.
No, not Corbin Burns.
I
guess because Corbin would always just allow like 1 run. And
that's
then,
true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And that'd be it.
That's the problem is like in the modern era, you just don't get shutouts. That's why it feels like these guys all have to be. Ben.
Nope, Ben only 3 times.
Not that
4 times
surprising.
actually. 4 times for Ben.
It's not that.
Tillman did it 4 times as well.
How about? And these are all Orioles. We're not going to end up.
Yeah, no, not since 1954. I made sure to.
I guess. I mean, if the innings don't matter, I can try Eric Bedard.
Eric Bedard, yes.
If it involved him having to go more than 5 innings, then forget it.
Tied with McNally and Barber 5 times as an Oriole. 8 strikeouts.
5
no
innings.
runs
You'd
allowed.
be like, I'm good, Chief. I'm out of here. They'd be like, what? What? Christ. I genuinely don't know. Rick Sutcliffe.
No Sutcliffe. No
Jamie
Rick
Moyer.
Sutcliffe. No Jamie Moyer.
Boddicker.
There you go, Mike Boddicker. Also 5 times, tied with Bedard, McNally, and Barber. So
Storm Davis.
3 more, no Storm Davis.
Scotty McGregor.
No Scotty.
This is not great. Man alive. All right, should I be thinking older or more modern?
So there's one very older, and then
Very
there's
older.
and then very older, and then two that are both still active actually.
2 that are both still active, but that doesn't mean they have to be with the Orioles.
Does not mean they have to be.
Kevin Gausman.
Kevin Gausman, there you go. He is tied for third most. 13 by Mussina, 9 by Palmer, 7 such of these games for Kevin Gausman.
Is Dylan Bundy still active?
He is not still. We had him on when he retired.
Oh, that's right. I don't remember, man. Yes, I don't remember where I am. Who is still active? Is it Grayson? Is it
No, it's
is
not
it
Grayson.
Is it an Oriole?
Yes, he is. He is still.
He is an
currently
Oriole, and he's had
obviously not in the active rotation.
Not in the active rotation, but he's had 5 of these games.
Yes, 6 of them actually.
With the Orioles.
Yep.
So it's not Charlie Morton.
No. Yeah, no.
Who's not in the active rotation. So, Bradish?
Yes, Kyle Bradish.
Really?
6 times Bradish has gone.
I know Bradish has been good.
8
but
strikeouts in a scoreless outing.
That is stunning. All right, now we got to go back to
one more.
Way back.
He was an Oriole from 1957
Hoyt Wilhelm
until 1965, not Hoyt.
We're at 65. That's a bummer. Missed out on the World Series by a year. That is.
He won a World Series with another team.
Is it?
This guy was very good.
Milt Pappas?
Yes, Milt Pappas.
Okay.
There you go. 6 or 7 times actually, tied with Kevin Gausman.
I guess there you go.
Yeah.
That's the list. Very good.
Did he win? No, he did not win a World
He was,
Series.
of course, the Frank Robinson trade. Milt Pappas goes to Cincinnati. It worked out quite well for the Baltimore Orioles.
Roger River, apparently from Kentucky, is checking in. I guess since we're talking Derby, and he wants to know who our picks are for today's races.
Is this for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get right on that, Raj.
Says he loves Jimmy's, for what it's worth.
No, I mean, who doesn't love Jimmy? Like for Raj, I'm sorry. I really apologize if you came here thinking we were a horse racing show. It's good to have you. I hope you like other things. It's just not.
Particularly Baltimore things.
Yeah, it's just not really what we do here. But wish you well. All right, very good. Let's get tubular. Huh?
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
No Orioles tonight, but a big day of lacrosse. They moved up the games in the Big Ten tournament out in Ann Arbor, and so now Penn State, Maryland is at approximately 2:30. Apparently there's rain in the forecast, so they're doing Rutgers, Ohio
Just rain?
State.
Can't play in a little rain?
I think storms is what they're looking at. Rutgers, Ohio State right now, and then Penn State, Maryland after that, so approximately 2:30. Lacrosse TV, the CAA semifinals, both at United Stadium. Hofstra Towson at 4, then Fairfield Drexel at 7.
Let's go.
ESPN Plus for the America East semifinals, UMBC Albany at 7 o'clock from up at Bryant. The Patriot League women's semifinals over at Loyola. Holy Cross Loyola at 3. I can't do that, my friend.
What?
I have to be
I came here for Patriot League.
Impartial.
Women's lacrosse.
I'm going to give you some picks for the races today. I can do that. Can't do that. Holy Cross Loyola at 3. Army-Navy tonight at 7 o'clock. That'll be a good one. NBA playoffs, TNT and True TV. Knicks-Pistons game 6 at 7:30 as the Knicks try again. Got to do it on the road. That's never easy. And Nuggets-Clippers game 6 at 10 with the Nuggets having a chance also on the road to close out that series. NHL playoffs, TBS, Maple Leaf Senators game 6 at 7. Stars Avalanche game 6 at 9:30. Golden Knights, then ESPN for Golden Knights Wild game 6 at 7:30. And Kings Oilers game 6 at 10. Baseball, Nationals, Phillies at 6:45. MLB Network, Twins, Guardians at 1:10. Red Sox, Blue Jays at 7:07 locally because the rest of the country will get Nationals, Phillies. Rockies, Giants at 9:45. And the USA for Nottingham Forest and Brentford, 2:30. And Golf Channel for round 1 of the CJ Cup. Drew says Scotty Scheffler. Bet him. Round 1 at 3 o'clock.
Really? Scotty Scheffler?
I know, right? Got really going bold there, that guy. I got this up-and-comer that I feel like is going to have a great shot at this course. I think his game is tailor-made for the course. Scotty Scheffler. Access TV for TNA Impact at 8. Non-sports?
Non-sports-wise, what are we, Thursday? You're a big Genghis Khan guy, right?
Everybody knows that about me.
New Genghis Khan documentary on Nat Geo.
Where our president would say, like, a lot of people are talking about Genghis Khan. Okay.
6-part series reveals the stunning insights into the life and many battles of the legendary ruler.
Sure.
Genghis Khan, the secret history of the Mongols. That's on Nat Geo.
Hell yeah, brother.
Another history doc. This week, new episode of Hacks on Max later tonight.
I do enjoy Hacks.
The Four Seasons premieres on Netflix
This is
today.
the Tina Fey.
Yes, Tina Fey, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, Steve Carell. Looks pretty solid.
All right.
We got on Prime Video Another Simple Favor. So this is a sequel to A Simple Favor.
I don't remember A Simple
Apparently
Favor.
came out in like 2018, I think. Yeah, Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively.
Okay.
And this time around, I didn't see
They're
the
both
first
lovely.
one. Yeah. This time around, they are going to Capri, Italy for a wedding. And
is it the White Lotus? Is
no,
that
it's not.
what it turns into?
It's I don't know what I forget what the premise is. I just saw who was in it. Allison Janney's in this one as well.
They're gonna have the gays all come up, pick up Jennifer Coolidge.
Maybe I don't want to spoil it.
I
don't want to spoil
the
it.
one guy's having sex with his uncle. It's a whole thing.
Dax Shepard and Governor J.B. Pritzker will be on Jimmy Kimmel.
A lot of people talking about the old J.B. as being like the Democrats' perhaps front runner for 2028.
I thought it was going to be Stephen A., but
yeah, really trying to force that. Really effing that chicken.
Walton Goggins will be on Colbert tonight.
He doesn't host until next week. Is him hosting Saturday Night Live.
Correct.
Still shameful that they're not letting him be the musical guest.
And our guy Penn Badgley and Roy McIlroy on Fallon.
They are promoting Walton Goggins hosting SNL.
Really?
Yeah,
they're just
very,
both big.
very excited about it. Yeah,
Good for them.
Very excited.
Good for them.
As we all are. So there's a big story in pro wrestling this week that Liv Morgan landed a role in a movie that it's the people that made Anora. Like their next movie. She's got a role in it. It's like a big story in wrestling. Like how did
that was the other thing I should have mentioned during Fighting Words. The Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Smashing Machine.
When is that come out?
It's going to be a while. I think the first trailer just dropped.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like September.
And that's about Mark Kerr.
I believe
right?
so. Yeah. Yes, exactly. He looks. I mean, it looks very good.
Yeah, it's a Safdie. It's the Safdie brothers, right?
Safdie, or I think they were just crediting Benny, but yes,
okay.
it is a Safdie joint.
Okay.
And, Emily Blunt, The Rock, as Mark Kerr looks pretty solid.
He certainly looks the part. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, he does kind of look like Mark Kerr.
And it was like, is that The Rock? And then
well, I had known.
He looks unrecognizable.
I had known beforehand that
Oh wow, not until October 3rd. Actually,
yeah, it's going to be a minute for that.
But what was I talking about before that?
Sorry,
oh,
this
the
was
Liv
obviously more
Morgan
important.
thing.
Oh, yeah,
right,
Liv
yeah.
Morgan.
So Liv Morgan lands this part in. It's called. Hang on a second. Bad Lieutenant Tokyo. The only other big actor, I don't know who Shunaguri is. Maybe he's very big in another part of the world. And then Lily James, who among other things was Pamela Anderson in the Pam and Tommy show on Hulu. But it's the people that made Honora. So it's like this big deal that she got this part as someone with like no acting experience. And everybody's being very cryptic about it. Like, we're hearing this huge news regarding Liv Morgan. And like my buddy sent me a tweet that said, this is going to be a big week, or next week is going to be a big week for Liv Morgan. And I said back, well, it's a big week for all of us. Walton Goggins is hosting SNL. I don't know why they're singling out Liv Morgan, but we're all going to have a big week next week. We're all very excited.
Sure, well done. Nailed it.
I stand by that. You could send out a tweet right now that says next week is a big week for Glenn Clark. It is. Walton Goggins is hosting Saturday Night Live.
We'll pay our respects every day.
We should do something different Walton Goggins related every day on the program next week. That man has given us so much. So much. Oh, God. Go back and watch Vice Principals.
All right, maybe. I got to watch them once first, I guess.
Have you never watched Vice Principals?
Why would I? What? No.
Did you watch Eastbound and Down?
I not like so.
I don't know who you are.
I've watched a little bit of Eastbound and Down, not like a whole lot. But Eastbound and Down is great. For
Vice Principals is also great.
Okay, is it
great?
Like, is it different than?
Yes, it's different.
Okay.
Correct. But
well,
it's still,
I didn't know if it was like part of the
it's
same
still Danny.
universe.
No, it's still Danny McBride.
Gotcha.
It's Danny McBride and Edie Patterson and Walton Goggins. And if you've watched Gemstones, you know that means magic. Utter magic. What am I doing here?
Okay, this is
Walton Goggins is a genius, and we should be so lucky to spend a week celebrating him. Let's do that.
My favorite part was, let's see, so like the first week of the NCAA tournament, they were throwing Eastbound and Down after like the final games of the night, and so it just played it like whenever you were if you're watching like TBS or whatever.
Okay.
And I was like, oh wow, now I can't go to bed for at least 2 episodes of this.
It's fair. There's a
very
new,
strong.
He's in a new commercial. It's Walton Goggins goggle glasses, and apparently it's real. It looks like a parody. You're like, there's no way this is real. Like, there's just no chance. But apparently it is. But it might also be like it might also be like a catfish of some sort. Like, they created this.
I want to wear those while I'm driving.
I think it's really for like somebody else, like maybe GoDaddy or somebody like that. But they actually made it. You can go buy Walton Goggins goggle glasses, and I need them badly. But they're like $150, and I've said before I refuse to buy sunglasses for real money because I've lost too many expensive pairs of sunglasses, so I'll never do it again. But my God, do I want them badly. I badly
prescription glasses.
These Walton Goggins goggle glasses. So bad. All right, very good.
It says Walton on the
it should.
around the band.
I wish it said Walton Goggins.
It might actually. I don't know. I can't see the backside.
All right, very good. Let's wrap it up. Thanks today to Christian Johansson. Thanks also today to Larry Collmus, to Rick Neuheisel, and to Ethan Anderson. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the...
I hear voices in my head.
Mixing it up, huh?
They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
They talk to me. Tab at Glenn Clark.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a big match coming up, so
if you say so.
He's gonna save wrestling.
It's not this week though.
I know, but it's coming. We got to get ready.
Fair enough.
Again, it's a big week for
We're doing
Griffin.
this-
It's a big week for Griffin Bass.
Okay,
next week.
That's your. I thought you were more of a Seth freaking Rollins man.
Well, I mean, I am, but
okay.
Also,
I didn't know that you were.
I don't want John
Randy.
Cena to ruin wrestling.
It's a great point. You need somebody to save it from him. Great.
I know you're saying chanting, "Let's go Cena."
Yeah, you're more of a Cena sucks
at the
man.
moment. Yeah,
I understand that.
It's fluid. You know.
Okay, it can change at any moment.
Exactly.
Like you wake up tomorrow and be like, "Look, I'm a Cena
Yeah.
guy now." Fair enough. All right, tomorrow on the program, AJ Pierzynski is going to join us. He's calling Orioles for Fox on Saturday night. Stan back in studio?
Yes, Stan's back, and we're going to head down to Bowie as well and check in with the Bay Sox. Alex
right.
Pham will join us.
All right, very good. Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, the Preakness Festival, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday evening. Go Maryland lacrosse, go Towson lacrosse, go UMBC lacrosse, Navy and Loyola women. Duke sucks. You haven't heard back from Longfellow or whatever the fuck?